This is a Foul Play production.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on episode number 33 of the Open Mic. Today, we're going to talk about pretty much everything and anything people that want to talk about. So, how's everyone doing today? Good? Coming to, I know it's been hot as, you know what, here, my part of the world, lower southwest Michigan. And I know it's been a lot hotter, say, here down in Texas, where some of our friends are, and other parts of the world. But it's going to be coming to an end here before long, and we're going to be heading back into, fall and winter months. And time changed this week. I've actually been talking about doing this for forever, but I figured now is as good a time as any. From now until say daylight savings time, because it always changes. I'm going to alternate the times every other Sunday to allow, because it's not so late for the Europeans, starting today at 3 Central, and then standard time we've been starting at 5 Central, and that way it's not quite so early for our Australian friends. I don't know how else to do it, and because it gets so late for people like yours and Alice and others that want to join in. It makes it very difficult. So I just thought it'd be a little more fair to do it that way. I don't see any other way to do it. And then, I hate it being so early for, Dr. Silkman and any of the Australians, but if they are up really late or decide to get up really early, they can join us. So anyway, I'm sitting here rambling on. Let's get everyone introduced that's here in Discord with us. Alice, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Evie.
Hey, everyone.
Linda, checking convictions.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're all good on this fine Sunday. And happy belated birthday, Jax.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yours, my friend.
Yeah, cheers, Jack. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and welcome everybody in chat. Let's go.
Wait, Jinxie.
Peeking in.
Nosy, can you hear us? Can't hear you, Nosy. You must be in one of those areas. Can't hear you at all. You may have to come out and come. She's got to come back. And Sunshine.
Hi, everyone.
Try again, Nosy. Say hi.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, people.
So, today, instead of picking out a specific, one thing or two things, Linda has suggested last night, we just kind of do an open forum. And I think that's a good idea, because that way, we're not just picking one thing. And it's not always me that picks the target of what we're going to talk about, but a lot of times it is. And I don't, that's fine. I don't mind, but at the same time, I don't want to, kind of hog the mic, as it were, to just talk about what I want to talk about. And that's not fair either, because that's not what the intent of this is about. So with that said, anything specific anybody wants to bring up right now, anything, doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
You should bring up what's going on with the library.
It's a good one. So today,
Yeah.
Zoe has been playing around with our website. There is, if you go to it now, if you look at the bar along the top, let me see if I can pull that up. Actually, go along the bar at the top. Easier if I can show this. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. She's created a forums so people can post. There we go. It's going to pop in. Give it a couple seconds. It's going to pop in there. There's going to be a section where people can actually come and post into to our own forum. So, for You say, well, why do that? We can post all kinds of places. And that's true. But, in this specific instance, being able to go to forums that we control, we're not limited by the rules of, say, Reddit and other places. That this is really comes down to what we want to show, what we want to allow, and I think that that's really a good thing because, you're really censored in many ways. Yours will tell you you're censored in many ways on Reddit, in things that are really kind of silly. But what, we won't get into all the excuses of why that happens, but some of it is, you don't want to dox people. You don't want to, because there was an earlier time, 5 years ago, people were angry, they were mad, and they really wanted to go after people. I mean, there was actually a guy that, he was so angry, he showed up at the Ken Kratz law office. There was another, I don't know, it was the same guy that went to the Averys, then they had to call the cops on him because he went,
Yeah, Daniel.
I can't
Luke
recall his name.
Luke Daniel.
Yeah. So
yeah, he quit his job to make that trip.
There's that aspect of doxing someone for a hurtful, target for a reason, to go after them. There's also the aspect of doxing someone, find out where they work and call their employer and say all kinds of shit,
He's also the same one that got between Link and his car that time out in Arizona too.
That seems to me it's just, but it
and
only takes one.
Him.
Yeah, it only takes one bad actor to really cause trouble for everyone else. So I understand the doxing end of it, and we really
it's really hard because if you start researching, and basically that's part of the Reddit channels that are out there.
Yeah.
Then you get to share documents in which there's personal information of somebody. That doesn't mean you have any mal intent to use it against that person. It's just part of a file, and that's basically, we can see that way, but Reddit has other views on that. Whenever there's a telephone number or a name that's not like sort of public, they just tend to ban you in a very quick way. So
yeah, I get it. You get people like people that say work at the crime lab that are they may even be well, I would say a lot of them are just analysts, but they're still in that public position of working at a crime lab, and their name gets included into a report. Now, are they a public figure? I don't know. I guess I have a little bit of a mixed feeling about that. Should you broadcast their home address and their phone number, their email? No, you shouldn't.
No.
But their name, I'm really pretty much okay with that. Like a police officer, I mean, they're not quite as, police officers definitely are public figures, in my opinion. They are. They serve the public. Now, again, should we broadcast their address, and phone number? No. And their email? Absolutely not. No, that's unnecessary. And it shouldn't never be part of the story at least for my end of it, because I'm not really investigating them. I just want to know who they are, So anyway, with that said, you can go to the website now, and you can register and, have conversation of pretty much whatever. Keep it civil. There are moderators there. If you want to, people that want to go there and be bad, be uncivil and cause trouble, you're probably going to get thrown out. I'm just, fair warning.
Jailed by check.
Well,
jailed by check.
I'm not the only one. I think pretty much, if you're a mod on our Foul Play Discord, you're probably going to be a mod. If you register there, on the website, you're going to be a mod there too. So,
yeah, we're a mod.
Yeah, see, there you go. So it could be jailed by BB or jailed by Linda. Could be.
You could be lost by Linda forever if you don't watch your stuff.
Yeah, don't be ugly. Want to have a conversation, even if it's a heated debate, that's fine. Just don't be ugly. Call names and all that kind of stuff. So, I want to thank Zoe for all her hard work. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff personally, but it does take extra effort. That it's unpaid. It's all voluntary. We want to do this and to try to get this information presented to people in a good format. You know, we got Euros here. He is the spreadsheet master. He is so good at that stuff. I tip my hat and bow down because I mean I'll fill with spreadsheets. I've filled with some complicated ones, and I can do it, but you know it doesn't come natural to me. It's clearly obvious to me that maybe not to yours, but to me, and I know so many others, that his talent for putting these spreadsheets together is really something else. So,
Thank you, mate.
Yep, you betcha. So, everybody say thanks to Zoya. I know she, I've wanted her to come to the open mic, but she has to get up early, so it's a little bit late for her. So, I told her I would mention it though.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thanks, Zoe. You're the
Thanks,
best.
Zoe.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks, Zoe. Thank you, Zoe.
next subject, if anyone's got anything. If they don't, I'm gonna throw up a little bit of a reminder and review. Anybody got anything before we move on?
Well, there was a question.
There's just a few people. There is a few people lining up to get jailed by specific people.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was a question by Sherry. She's got, where's her name? Where's the question? Oh my gosh, can't even find it. Anyway, Sherry asks, anyone on the panel know about Deborah Suwatsi?
Akawadi.
Sawakawati. Okay, murder.
Yeah.
Was found in 1977 in the gravel pit. Bogle was DA. She was Carmen Botwell's aunt, was engaged to a Tadage.
I think she was the cousin of her mother, of Carmen's mother, not her aunt.
And there was one other weird thing about that too. A Campion was in on the search party that found her or something. And a Campion, his brother was the one who found the burner phone and stuff with Pam of God.
I was gonna say, was there some kind of relation between that one and the newer one?
Yeah.
I don't
They're like
remember
brothers.
Pam's dad ever coming back to the property after the fit. I don't remember seeing her on the civilian things either. Like the
No, I don't think she came back to the property. She went and was part of that search that found that paperwork and
side
found
of the
that.
road.
all those people in, I thought.
I'm sorry?
I thought they logged all those civilians in. I don't even know. Does anybody know where that came from? That it was Pam of God who found the cell phone? Because I have never seen any paper or anything that's.
Yeah, there's a report. There's a report that lists that Campion and Sherry, or not Sherry, but Pam of God found that phone and some paperwork. I can't remember exactly where. But
why don't I remember this? I mean, I
Yeah,
remember the
it's-
story.
On the side of the road, somewhere near that turnabout, ain't it? I thought.
It was,
on
wasn't it down by
147.
Jambo Creek?
What's
Yeah.
that, yours?
No, it was close to the turnabout on the north ditch of the 147
Yeah,
highway.
yeah.
Close to
Yeah.
the
By where
turnabout.
the ram was said to be found.
Yeah, there's a report, and I can't tell you who wrote it, Jinx, but I know there is. I remember
It's a
reading it.
KSO report, yeah.
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 Angie
Dickinson.
Dickinson says, I have a question. What is your honest opinion on the RAV4 witness who saw Bobby and the bearded guy?
All right, let's go down the line then so we can each answer.
Yeah. Alice, you're first.
Well, I think he might have seen somebody, but I don't think it's Bobby. I don't think anybody in the family had anything to do with it. And that's just my opinion.
Fair
And I
enough.
hope that KZ has got a lot more information on this witness than what we think that she might have.
Yep. Fair enough. BB?
I think we're gonna have to wait and see if there was a phone call ever placed.
Yep. Fair enough. Linda, checking convictions.
Well, I think that it's possible. that he's seen somebody. The time is right for him to deliver the paper. Kind of makes sense in a way. It also makes sense that they would put it there just before they're going to find it. So that kind of makes me think. But I don't think the witnessing of the people that is correct, because he didn't recognize Bobby before, and he delivered the paper there a long time. So that right there, I don't think the people are right, but I believe it's very possible, and I certainly hope that KZ has a phone call to match it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in line. I think number one, she has to have a connecting phone call from Sawinski to Manitowoc. Short of that, the story begins to really fall apart for me and becomes more of a hearsay. I think that it's possible that Sawinski did see somebody pushing a car, whether it was the driver or not. I don't know. Maybe even near the Avery junkyard, salvage yard. The problem for me is that he changed his story. His story grew, and it got more detailed as time went on. I have a problem with that. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not calling him a liar. I'm just saying that as time goes on for my story, you would typically remember less. The details get more fuzzy as time goes on, and we're talking about years. We're not talking about just a short time. To his credit, he did report something back in 2016. However, from his report then to what we have now, there are some pretty significant differences, and that makes me question it. But number one, she's got to have a connecting phone call. Yours.
Yeah, well, I think Bobby is her best Danny at this moment. That's what KC is going for.
Yeah.
First of all, I hope that the Supreme Court filing yields anything, because I thought it was a really good one. So if that goes through, then maybe that other petition is last in row. But if we have to go there, say Supreme Court denies it, then I think she will go to the lower courts and get that motion in. Then I agree with you. It's not that strong because there's information missing. But on the other hand, the Manitowoc Sheriff Department may come up with some information about the call, or they may not. Where is the burden of proof in this one? I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I hope something comes up. Many people say like, okay, KZ has more up her sleeve and she doesn't show that yet. That information. I don't really believe that, because because of the procedural bar thing, she might risk losing that one. So
I agree.
I think she'll just have to wait and see what comes out from both parties to say.
Yeah, that is the thing
or
about
new information may come out. We don't know yet.
that too. But that's another thing is exactly what you said about her holding things. I guess a lawyer can do that for a little while, but she can run into the procedural bar and miss an opportunity to file something really significant. So it's a good point.
Yeah, if it's really really significant, she would have already done it, put it out there. Yeah. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Jinxie?
Eyewitness testimony is the least reliable. Even if he can prove he made a call sometime that week about what he says he saw on a certain day with a certain car, he still could be wrong, missing the day. Look at the bus driver. She insists that it was on the 31st. She saw her all the way over there by Avery's, when I think it was sometime earlier in the year when she saw her. So I think that witness is weak.
Yep. Fair enough. Nosy?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So a little bit of what everybody said. I didn't hear the full question, but I kind of picked up on it based on everyone's answers. For me, I have to remind myself that the goal is not to prove who did it. It's just to prove that, there could have been someone else and that KZ knows what she's doing. I am completely torn, For me, him seeing the person push the rab and all that, it helps explain some of the scratches on the back from the brush for me. I don't think that he has any type of credibility as far as pinpointing it for a fact that was Bobby Dassey. Like Linda Kay, I think it was you. He'd been delivering newspapers there for a really long time already, and he's gonna know, he's gonna know who he saw, I suppose. I don't know. A little bit of what everybody said in a nutshell.
Fair enough. Okay. Sunshine, what do you think? Lewinsky.
I think first we have to remember that KZ's duty is to her client. So if this gentleman comes forward and on the face of it, and she did do some checking, the story checks out. What he says he saw, he could have saw because he was employed doing what he was doing in that area at that time. He has a email showing where he tried to contact someone previously. The day that he says he called, and we don't have any calls at all to refute that, I think she has to put forth him as a witness. As far as what he saw, I do find it odd that we have that one report. The name escapes me of the Avery neighbor, where they randomly ask him what time his newspaper and mail runs.
Leo.
Was it? I'm not sure who it was.
Leo.
Okay, and of course the time that he says he picks his paper up is 9:30 in the morning, and anyone who's lived in the country knows that newspapers are delivered hours before that. So I do find it odd that they didn't accurately report the time that the newspaper comes. But like Jinx said, like Nosy was saying, pretty much what everybody else says, like eyewitness testimony has put many people in prison wrongfully. So you can't go by it being Bobby and a bearded man so much as the man says he saw a vehicle being pushed during that week. But I think she has a duty to her client, and she has to submit it, because on its face it is testimony, or it is a statement that corroborates her Denny suspect theory.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I think about it.
I have to agree a lot with Nosy, is that KZ does not have to prove who killed Teresa. She does not have to do that. Her goal is to get Stephen out, and she's going to use whatever she can to that legally that she can. And that's one of the things that makes her really good, because she'll kick every can, and she'll turn over every rock to do that. So, okay, fair enough. Some good answers. And
just some more questions.
Good. Good.
Okay.
Fire away.
The next question is from T1. He wants to know, what will the state's reply say? They have 14 days, correct? Correct.
14 days to reply. Gosh, we can go down the list on that one too. I'm just going to tell you. I mean, my personal opinion is that they're going to try to reiterate the same kind of. I don't have the proper word to say how.
I have a lot of questions about that and statements too. I feel like they are literally going to go into the copy room, and they are going to copy everything they've already done, paste it, and they're just going to send it there, because they have not changed anything they have said so far. Nothing.
No.
They don't have anything else to say. What else can they say?
Right.
They're already reaching. They're reaching right now, trying not to sound stupid and trying to sound, professional and like they know what they're talking about. But then we all sit back and we're like, how ridiculous. So, like, what other angle could they possibly have to change their direction? Yeah.
Well, they're probably also going to try to reiterate the trial aspect, what happened at trial, and what the Court of Appeals tried to focus on, or at least seemed to seemingly tried to focus on, but they made so many mistakes simply
Well, that's
from
the
the
thing.
Yeah,
They
go
made
ahead.
so many factual errors that they're gonna have to address that in an answer if they're gonna answer it. So, you know, they cannot just deny that they made those mistakes. I'm really curious how they're going to do that.
She really made the Court of Appeals kind of a laughing stock, and thinking about just one part of it alone was the mutilation of a corpse, and they just completely ignored the fact that he was found not guilty of that. Now, I've seen all kinds of replies on Reddit. I'm sure that yours and any Redditor here that has went and read these excuses that these guilters are trying to give to the Court of Appeals about how they did that. I'm sorry, I just don't agree.
Oh, that's all close-mindedness. They don't look any further than that. It's just like. But it will be interesting to see that, because there was a whole legal proceedings that KZ pulled up, right? That the Court of Appeals didn't say anything about. So I'm looking forward to how they're going to handle that. Are there any other legal proceedings that contradict the legal proceedings that KZ just thrown up, or not? Maybe not. I don't know.
Honestly, yeah, I can't wait to see how they address the fact that the COA tried to rule on each claim independently instead of ruling on it cumulatively, which is now the standard.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big one.
It is a big one.
I want to see how they're going to try and convince the court not to follow the law.
I don't know if anyone had an opportunity to watch Tracy Strunsey's live the other night. She did a really, really spectacular job of talking about these various points. Now, she didn't get into everything really deep. She just tried to get some of the more the bigger issues and things in KZ's reply and thing to the Supreme Court. She really liked it, and she liked the fact that basically KZ laid it pretty much out on the table in many of these different things that she presented. And now she hasn't researched, because if you remember, KZ cited a number of cases, like a number. She said she hadn't had time to research them all. So that'll be, maybe she'll have time to get a little deeper into that. But if you haven't had a chance to watch her live from the other night, I would recommend. It's not real long. It's only about an hour or so. And it's really, really good.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty helpful.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what I just don't know what else the Court of Appeals can do, or the state can do, except for a copy and paste job.
Yeah. They could grab their ass and hope that they don't have to kiss it goodbye.
I'm also glad that she specifically cited where Jensen said the bullet went through the brain. Like she gave the page out of the trial transcript where he said it. So there can't be any deviation from it wasn't said, because it was. Now they're trying to say that, well, who said that the brain was inside the skull when it was shot? That's the new filter talking.
Oh my God.
She also stated something about the casings. There's no forensic evidence like linking it to FL or any of the other bullet, FK, or anything forensically linking it to this crime supposedly either. Like no blood on it, no nothing. So
no. So once you rule that it's not the method of death, then you don't have a method of death connected to Stephen Avery. So.
Well, that's why it was so important. The note from Fassbender to Culhane, put her in the house or the garage.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Do we know who the Supreme Court justices are? Is anyone looking at them?
I thought Jinx was looking at them.
Dassey was.
Jinx looked at him.
Yeah, I think Jinx looked at them.
I looked a couple of them up, but I'll tell you their names. I can read them off to you right here.
Yeah, who are they?
They are Chief Justice Annette Kingsland Ziegler, Justice Ann Walsh Bradley, Justice Patience D. Roggensack, Justice Rebecca Grassel Bradley, Justice Rebecca Frank Dallett, Justice Brian Hagdorn, and Justice Jill J. Karofsky. Hagdorn, the man, he came from the CAO District 2, and that's why that Davis was on that case. The two women that are named Bradley, all I figured out is they are not related in any way. I haven't really looked at any of them since I looked at that stuff. I know Stacy said something about the Chief Justice, but I haven't looked into her yet. But there's 6 women and 1 man.
There's 5 diploma privilege, 2 out-of-state attorneys. They're all from Wisconsin. All but 1 are from Wisconsin. I looked at that.
Oh, you're telling me that one of the judges is named Patience?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good sign. Because we've all had it.
I think I've only ever heard of
that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The irony of irony.
T1 asks, A23 is vital for show. It excluded Avery and Dassey, but was it deemed inconclusive?
Well, it was. I read some about that. I didn't read the entire thing, but A23, they said the sample was too degraded to get a full profile. I'm not even sure I guess she was able to get somewhat of a profile and to rule them out. But it would be interesting to have that re-examined with today's technology.
I wonder if
she can rule them out.
More than 7 loci, because that would be interesting to know.
If she can address the fact that it doesn't belong to the Averys or Dasseys, that means that she's got a profile enough to be able to tell that. So all they would have to do is run it through SCOTUS again 1 million times until they get a hit.
Yeah, that's interesting because they're telling you that's a partial profile, but they exclude.
If they can exclude.
But they do include Teresa in the 7 loci. That doesn't really,
That's what I'm saying. That's not even. That's a contradiction of itself.
Double standard. That is double standard.
Well,
exactly.
It would have been really simple. It would have been really simple. She could have just re-swabbed it.
We don't know. We don't know how much of a partial it was. Whereas we know that the one for Teresa was 7 loci.
BZ.
She didn't actually include A23 in any of her reports to show what partial loci did come up. So it might be partial like 3 loci or 2 loci.
It doesn't even matter.
It might be even more. It might even be more like 9 or 10 loci, but still not a full profile.
Okay, well, if you can,
I would love to see what A23 looks like on paper with the loci.
Okay, let's think about this sensibly for a second. If you can exclude someone's DNA, that means you're getting enough reading off of that. So they would be able to include others if they had it. That makes absolutely positively no sense to me whatsoever.
That places someone else there on that car bleeding.
That is right.
That's what it does.
Right.
And I think if you have some different alleles in some of those loci, that proves that it's not.
That's right.
You can exclude.
Susan.
Hey.
Dr. Silkman says Cohan got 2 or 3 loci for A23. She excluded Stephen. Yeah. So I'm going to ask him right now if they can exclude. They should be able to include. Correct?
Is he actually awake? Oh, I see. He's on. I see he's on.
I don't know.
He's partially online on Discord. I don't know if he's actually awake yet, but hopefully he is. It's very early for him.
He is in the chat.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, he's probably he's probably just got the IV for the coffee going. So.
Rise and shine, Dr. Silkman.
So A23, I think T1's hit a good point there. It is really important, and I think it would be. I just think that it would be so good to have it ran through with today's technology to see what they find.
There's another interesting notation about blood being found under the rear seat levers.
That's right. That's in Stocky's note. That's in Nick Stocky's notes.
It's never sampled, tested, or
Nope.
spoken again.
No.
And I would be interested in seeing who was bleeding and lifting their seats at the same time, if it is indeed blood.
Well, I think it's definitely blood. I'm pretty sure that's what Stocky said in his notes. Now,
Yeah,
I could be.
Blood too. I think it presumptive test positive for blood, and then it just disappeared. And that to me is
how convenient
it was.
Well, it's the same with A13A. You know, they had it ready to get a profile, and they just didn't. And just like, okay, we're not going to run that one for a profile.
It's like somebody said, "Oh no, that's not Stevens."
Well, it's like Dr. Silkman said here a few weeks ago. They arrived at the one that they wanted, and they stopped.
Anything that was, anything that took them in a different direction, it was how conveniently gone.
Yeah.
I think they
couldn't A23 have just simply been blood from like a mechanic previously working on our car?
Yeah. Well, then why wouldn't they say that?
I guess it's possible, but
And they wouldn't know.
It's really it's because they didn't run it down. We don't know. I just think it's an open door. It's a rabbit hole that we can't really find out about yet.
Isn't there another sample in the quarry of blood on a rock that's CX? Do we know if
CX? We don't know what that is either.
The male individual.
We do have that profile that did not match anyone.
Correct.
In the Avery's and Dassey's. Was that rock found where the bones are found in Manitowoc Quarry? Do we know where that CX came from?
Yours can answer that one.
Yep.
It's not in the same spots where the bones were found. It's just a little bit south of where the rat was found. You draw a straight line to the south, somewhere in the middle of that, deserted quarry.
Where's a rag too, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere in there, but it's not the same spots where what Casey mentions as the four quarry clouds. That's the same, but that's another.
It's like somebody walking away from the RAV.
Sort of.
Found in the same location as the suspected charred foot, a rag with a reddish brown stain, and suspected human vertebrae in the water, which none of that supposedly turned out to be anything. This is also the same day that Cleaser, Calumet County Coroner Cleaser, came to the quarry and viewed something that gave him the confidence to pronounce Teresa deceased. So, who knows what was really found in the water? What was the charred foot? Because I don't think we have pictures of that, do we?
We do, yeah.
Oh, we do.
There's a photo of that.
Yeah,
I don't know what
they said. It was like foam or something.
If a medical examiner can tell on the record there, because it was basically sent to the case though first to I think it was Tyson who examined it further and established it was not a foot, but insulation. I mean, if a medical examiner on the spot cannot determine that that's a piece of insulation, then he's a fucked up, wrong medical examiner.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just the weight of it. You know how heavy it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Barn insulation wouldn't weigh anything.
Yeah. Foot would.
Exactly. But also looks there's a picture I can share it somewhere and then you see it and so you think,
Dr. Silkman says CX gave a full profile that was from a male. It wasn't from Avery or Dassey.
Yeah. Which again, they don't really want to talk about.
I'm just curious how they ruled out A23 from Avery and Dassey. Could they do the same thing with CX? Because we don't know if it's unrelated or not. I know Jasmine has said it could be possibly unrelated, but it could be the guy going through the quarry after planting the RAV or coming in with the bones or anything at that point, right?
Well, I mean,
it's on the way to the Averys, right, from where the bones were. And that we can by the RAV or in that area. So
And did they put it through CODIS? They didn't run it through CODIS, right?
They didn't run anything through CODIS.
No, they didn't run anything. Which again, which that in itself to me is a little suspicious. But they don't, once they've reached the conclusion that, hey, these blood spots are Avery, hey, we're done. That's all they did.
Could insulation have been used to burn her body? Would that have helped burn her body?
Yeah, and T1 says selective bleeding from Stephen Avery and the RAV by Stephen Avery and selective testing by law enforcement.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
They had selective testing with all the hair too. There was a
exactly
hair in the RAV that they never tested. There's a hair hanging in the vent they never even collected. There's a hair that was supposedly in her blood stain that disappeared. Now, was that her hair? Possibly, but could it have been also a murderer's hair? Yes, it could have been, but nope, gone. Poof, gone.
Don't know because they didn't test.
Yeah.
And Jacobson
has
another question.
We've got another question. I see that. Go ahead, Linda.
What do you think was found on Cuss Road?
Oh, that could be a whole open mic in its own, Angie, with the Cuss Road scenario. And I'm sure we have done at least 3 or 4 hours on a Cuss Road one. But there was more happening on Cuss Road than there ever was happening on Stephen's property, in my opinion. There was too much crime tape. They had lights there at night, which was only supposed to be wood and some peat or something like that. So I don't think we'll ever know whatever really happened at Cuss Road, but my opinion is that something definitely happened there, more than it ever did on Stephen's property.
I'll tell you what happened there. Nothing but a stump. That's coming right from the state.
I was trying to pull up some photos here, but my OBS is being uncooperative again.
Whatever it was.
So why do you keep pushing it on?
Whatever it was at Cuss Road required Manitowoc County's private ambulance and only specific personnel. So,
Pete Moss says they found me.
Yep, that's what they found. Did you leave your stump behind? Are you missing a foot or an arm?
Oh, Pete Moss. That's a good one there.
Right.
Name is Pete Moss. He said they found me. That's hilarious.
Any more questions?
Wasn't it a stump? No, it wasn't.
I want to ask Pete Moss if that's how he got his name.
A temporary burial is what Stacy says. Yeah, I believe there was a lot more going on there. They might have found some body parts or blood or something there. They didn't spend all that time. Tape it off, add floodlights and everything else going on for a bag of peat moss under a pallet, disintegrating pallet.
Yeah, but
I don't even think it was the temporary burial. You know what I think it was? I think it was all staged just so that everyone was over there looking when everything was starting to be planted on the Avery yard that they found the next day.
No,
why did us? We're over here. This is where all the news cameras see us being. We're looking busy.
Yeah, but you've got to also remember
planting this over here.
But there was way too many man hours, and they said they were shorthanded, so that just wouldn't make sense for them to spend all that time, have floodlights and all that other stuff. It was just that. They're just not going to speak about it. It might not have been a burial site. It might have been just pieces of her clothing or whatever, you know what I mean? Parts of blood, maybe footprints, or maybe something of the real killer.
Yeah, you have to understand that.
I've always wondered. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I've always wondered if it's possible that her body was there, like someone put her there, for the time being,
Yeah.
And is it possible animals actually got a hold of her? Because the reason I've always wondered that is because if the bones and the body that was, you know, that were burned, if that really was her, where did they burn her? Where did they actually have the fire to actually burn her?
In the deer camp with the barrels. There was a hot barrel when they got there.
Well, and one thing for sure that we know that it was a restaging area, right?
Exactly. And like Stacy says, the dogs weren't allowed to go down there. They were stopped and they wanted to go there. Now dogs they only stop the dogs because they're going to find something. Come on, you wouldn't stop a dog from when you hire a dog to go there. You know?
I've just always wondered about the animals getting a hold of her body while her body was maybe dumped off Coast Road, because it would have been much easier. It would have been much easier to burn her body with a much smaller fire if animals had already destroyed a large portion of it.
Exactly. That might be a reason why we didn't get all the bones too. You know what I mean? It's very possible.
And that's why I've always wondered, like, all the stuff that happened on Coast Road, everything you see, and it was so covered up. Is that what was discovered was, you know, her body after being dealt with by animals?
Right.
But if her body was dealt with by animals, then wouldn't there, like,
you wouldn't see that
on her bones?
There might be, but that's not going to benefit the state whenever they're in trial. So they're just going to, leave that out.
If they cut those parts off, then you have kerf marks, and then they just get rid of the parts that have teeth press.
William, there's bears, there's bobcats, there's all kinds of animals there.
Mountain lions.
Mountain lion, there's cougars and there's lions bobcats, bears mostly. There's a lot of black bear there, so yes, and they will eat the
wolves,
coyotes. Yes, and coyotes. So all of them are meat eaters.
Well, we can say pretty much whatever, but the fact is that if you look at Cuss Road and how it was approached, how it was handled overall, it looked like a crime scene.
Sure did.
It really looked like a crime scene. There was so much presence. There was so much activity, blocked roads, crime scene tape by the mile. They roped off that little trail road that led off at the end of that cul-de-sac off to the right. An ambulance, a fire truck, their utility truck that brought the light. Yeah, the crime scene was called over.
Yeah, their forensic. Yeah.
So, to me,
can I just add,
please?
Because it's a Wisconsin State Patrol that flew over there, right? That's the only reason why we have any pictures of that place down there, right?
Yeah, that's
thanks to the FOIAs that received that information. Yes.
And also certain ground pictures from a Wisconsin State Patrol.
Yep, that's right.
Reese.
The
thing is, that's a good thing we have that. But what happened on 2 days later in the quarries when the Sickle came in and they set a roadblock on Q and Fisherville and Q and 147, and they just totally blocked off the whole area right there. And they also put up floodlights in some area in the quarry. We don't have any footage of that.
Nothing.
Why is that?
That's a good question. It's simple.
Why was no news? Why was there no news channel flying over the quarry on the 9th?
And all that activity.
It baffled me because you have news channels from every day, but the 9th. I was thought like, did they censor them?
Because they were too busy reporting on Avery being arrested.
Well, that was a distraction. The 9th and especially the 10th, because if you listen to that call, Simple was requesting dozens of more officers to help him search the quarry. So the 10th, there was a flurry of activity. Had to be, maybe even the 11th. I don't know if it went into how much they went to the 11th, but he asked for dozens of officers to come and help him.
Yeah, that's what made me think that they found something in the quarry.
Yeah.
They arrested him, put all the focus on that. No footage of anything going on in the quarry, because we're all looking for the primary burn site, right? We don't know where it is.
That's right.
It's not in the burn pit. So where is it?
Well, and not only Avery being arrested, also remember they took all the family down pretty much, except for a couple of them, down to the Aurora Medical Center to get printed. So I'm not sure. I can't remember if that was in the news or not in one of N64's tidbits that he's got on his channel. But it was a great distraction for the news cycle. Don't look over here. Yeah. Look over here. What we did to Avery. We arrested him.
Yeah, we got him.
Yeah,
booked him.
Book him, Dano.
Yeah. Well, it still made me think. Like, I have some questions about the quarry and the things that went down there. Same as the Sunshine Christina just did about the foot and mentioning Glazer. And there's also Bob Donahue, the guy who came in that was a Milwaukee assistant DA that just came in for one day with Gratz. FBI came in only one day on the 10th. That's the only day they went out to the scene. They checked in on the locks and all. I was like, that was the big day. That was the day that her death certificate was signed, or pronounced dead. So what happened?
Yet they didn't go to Avery's property.
Well, I think that says a lot right there that they didn't show up at the Avery salvage yard. At least the coroner that sounded the DC, and not allowing Kaketchin on the Avery salvage yard. I think that's a huge problem. But,
yeah. Thing is, they all signed in and out on the logs, so it's hard to tell where they exactly went.
Oh yeah, but to answer Angie's question, it's hard to say exactly why, because we really are deprived of so much any video and audio details that we've not been able to get. I think something was definitely found. I have to agree with yours, whether it be there at Crossroads or somewhere on the quarry, something happened to require all that activity. What that was, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it was something significant, though. Otherwise, even put on police departments, smaller ones, they would move all those resources just because they found a couple old plastic peat moss bags and a rotten pallet. I'm sorry, they wouldn't do that. So, what's next? Next question. Anyone?
I'm reading for him, Jax.
Oh, okay. I thought that fell out for us. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Did it fall out? I'll say there's a lot.
Well, there's a whole lot of talk about
Carmen Boutwell and Teresa Halbach are not related in any way. They're not second cousins. They're not third cousins. They're fourth cousins. They have like a third cousin, and Teresa has a third cousin. And between those two trees that have a blood relationship, those people are cousins in the middle. But Teresa and Carmen are not related.
And they're not even related deaths.
It is a point altogether.
Yes.
That was a misinformation thing that unfortunately that got started way back,
Yeah, but these people are on here long enough. They know.
I know, but it's
they're distant cousins or cousins. That's it.
It's hard. It's we've tried to talk. We've talked about this before about misinformation getting started, and I did it one time because I got information passed to me that was incorrect. The person that gave it to me didn't know, and I passed it on. I didn't know, and then I found out later that what I was told was incorrect, and I was mortified because I don't. You once said it starts, so we can see evidence of this right here with Carmen. It's still around 5 years later, and we're still talking about it, and they're not related, and it's hard to get that stopped. So. Anybody out there that sees this or hears this, please be sure to pass on to whoever. They're not related.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see people saying it's creepy and stuff. Well, I don't know why it's creepy because it's really not related at all. They died separately at different days. One died at home from an overdose. One happened to have been murdered. So I don't see that. I mean, Carmen's bones weren't found anywhere. They were taken to a crematorium and given to the family. And I don't see any relation whatsoever in that. To me, it's not creepy. It's just somebody trying to connect something that isn't there.
That's not there. That's right. It detracts from the story. It's leads us off into a path that it's a rabbit hole that, well, then that can lead into a conspiracy, which there's not. I mean, there's just not. So.
No, but I think it's basically a human process to fill in when there's missing puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
You just make the picture bigger in their head. But
here's a question from Pete Moss. Did they say at trial that there was no blood in Stephen's bedroom because he burnt the bedding?
Well, they did say they burnt the bedding. You know, you get a week. Yeah, you get weaker that Brendan's trial says, oh well, they had 5 days to clean up, stuff like that. But they pulled up carpeting, they took paneling, they took everything, and they didn't find anything from Teresa. And I'm sorry if she stabbed and her neck cut. There's going to be blood, and I just don't see how that could have all been avoided, short of the wound actually been wrapped immediately, so nothing could get out. Even then, there'd be a risk. If you cut somebody across the neck, they're going to bleed. They're going to bleed like hell. We talked about this a couple of times in the last month. They're going to bleed like hell.
And if you look at the back part of the bed, it's full of stains.
Yep.
It's full of stains. You look at it.
It's
never been cleaned. Never at all. So
dust all over it.
It's bullshit to think like he just get rid of any possible DNA from her. It's just total bollocks.
Right. Here's another interesting question.
Okay.
This is interesting.
Okay.
It says, so if KZ gets to have her time in court and Stephen is exonerated, do you think the Hallbachs would publicly apologize to Stephen like Penny did from the 1985 rape case? I don't think so. My opinion is no.
I mean, not knowing them, I really, it's hard to say, but yeah, I kind of have to agree with Linda. I kind of doubt it.
I think the only way they'll apologize is if they can actually prove that someone else did this crime with some sort of connection to it, where it's like absolutely positively this other person.
Maybe even some motive tied to it.
Still be Stephen, even though we don't have the evidence anymore. It's still Stephen. They would never apologize if they still think it's Stephen.
Yeah, I agree.
The state will manipulate them to think that. I think until there's absolute proof someone else committed the crime, and then maybe they'll apologize.
I don't think they would. Why would they apologize that the police got it wrong? They did nothing wrong. Their daughter died. That's it. I don't think they owe anybody an apology. It's not like somebody picking them out. I honestly do not think that they owe Stephen an apology at all. It's not them. They lost a daughter, and they are believing the police.
Well,
Penny. It's different with Penny because she pointed him out, and said he was the one.
And the Hallbachs haven't said anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
What we started here, Jax?
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. Let people talk, and they've got questions that that we might not necessarily get to in a particular open mic. So it's a good open thing. Another thing that I remember because I was talking about this a few minutes ago about the mutilation of a corpse, and one of the replies that I did get on Reddit was that, well, just because he was found not guilty of mutilating a corpse doesn't mean that he didn't participate. And that sets up, of course, the fact that sets up all kinds of problems for me, because they're saying, well, just because he was found not guilty doesn't mean he didn't do it. Well, that's what the Court of Appeals is basing their stuff on. So you can't have it both ways. You can't do it. It's hypocritical to say, because if you say that, then what's the point even having any kind of justice system. You can just say, well, but and you also have this unindicted, co-conspirator that could be right along. So even if they're saying also that even if Stephen didn't do it, maybe he was there and he helped.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, next
Here's
question.
another question.
Yep.
Yes. Was any burned fatty tissue found in any of the barrels or the burn pit?
No. Not that I'm aware of. They didn't find anything like that. They dug up all the soil in the burn pit, as best I can recall. Or I know they didn't find any of it.
They didn't find anything. They took soil samples from the burn pit, 3 cans full, and they didn't find anything about, fatty tissue of people in there.
Okay.
Which you would expect to find if you burn someone.
Okay, here's another one. Here's a really good question from T1. Everybody will thank him after this. How many ravs?
I'll get you. Don't you dare to.
You come in here and explain that yourself, buddy.
Yeah, come on.
I think you should tell us.
I believe, like Henberry, there's 1 rav. And if you don't believe me, check out Henberry. He will tell you all about it. That's my answer for that one.
Yeah, that's one.
And here's another one from Angie. Please, could somebody explain the silky key note is all about? That's a very confusing thing.
I'm going to let
We haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah, the Silky keynote. I don't know. I don't know that we can explain it. I really don't.
Distraction?
Well, maybe, but if anybody has any theory they want to talk, go ahead.
There's about 100 theories on Reddit about it, so I suggest people go there and make up their own minds, because it's so going all over the place.
The last I remember talking about the Sicky letter was when we got the
was yours
about Ryan's map and all of those little notes he was making, and we checked all of his handwriting to all the Sicky letter, and it was possible that he might be the writer. And then one day I was falling asleep and I thought Sicky could be turned into Tara RJH, which by just changing some of the letters, which means and that's Ryan J. Hilgas's sister's first name. So that was just something I thought of when I was falling asleep one day.
Ooh, that's a stretch.
Yeah. We're turning all Zodiac.
Yeah.
And I do not believe it was something written by Edward Wayne Edwards.
No.
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 Give
that one.
We'll be yelling.
Yeah, that one
we
got
just
started.
need to find somebody that says aluminum. Aluminum. Aluminum.
It's aluminum.
Or as our European friends call it, aluminium.
Yeah.
Aluminium. Yeah.
Aluminium.
Aluminium.
Yep. I've heard the Wiz say it that way many times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't know. I can't answer that one. Was Angie that asked that? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anyone really does.
They must
I think it's
check a deal hit.
I do think I think it was kind of a distraction to make people look in a certain direction.
By who?
By somebody that's illiterate.
All right.
That's my view. That's my own opinion.
You talking about the Sicky key letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That somebody that doesn't know how to spell, maybe from another country.
Yeah. Just like
the
cessation speaker.
Yes.
Sort of.
I heard like that Hmong guy who got shot when he opened his door.
That's Cor Yang.
I heard him. Yeah, that he might have been the author, somebody thought at one point in time.
It looks like 2 different people to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually wrote the letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
with the printing and the cursive.
Was that Sunshine?
I thought that it could be a distraction from before they were sure they were going to have a body, I thought maybe Kratz had it written so that they could make it a bodiless crime and still tie it to Stephen Avery. I had that thought before. Then they, that's back when I was still trying to figure out everything at all. They were trying to use it as an excuse to have a bodiless crime and still get a conviction.
Oh, by the way, with Mark Wiegert's personnel file, I believe there's some handwritten stuff in there by him that we can now look at to see if they match anything on that thing.
Oh, you got some homework to do.
Or maybe it's sick KK is key.
Yeah, that's another one of those that we just don't know. It's like you remember, everyone remembers we got all the photos, the 2,100 plus photos of that Hembury got, Seeking Truth got, and we had a couple of photos of the VIN number, but they're still blurred. What the hell's up with that? And that led us off into everywhere. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand that kind of thing. That an agency, I don't care if it is a local agency that took the photo. How would you take a photo and blur out part of a VIN number or part of any kind of identifier in a case? I just don't understand that. If anybody has a real answer for me, I'd love to hear it. That really bothers me.
A couple of questions. Our William, is there video or photo evidence of the key fitting the lock of the RAV?
Actually,
and the other one is from Sherry, who's asking, did Strang and Butin ever get to see the RAV or just photos? Does it even still exist after all this time? The bones are gone. Anything's possible in this case, in my opinion.
Butin and Strang did go see the RAV. I don't know that. I don't think they took any photos, but I know that they did go see it. I can't tell you the date. I don't remember it. Back to William's question about the actual key fitting, photos of the key fitting the lock. The only thing that I can remember for sure, there are no photos, but they did take the key that was allegedly found in the bedroom, this valet key, and Sherry Culhane did put it in the ignition and it did turn. Of course, the battery was unhooked, so it wouldn't start, but that's what they put in that was in the search warrant report. So, but no photos, William, of that, and no video as far as we know. You remember anything more than that, yours?
No, you just said it.
That's pretty much it. So,
yeah,
unfortunately, you know that's.
Does anybody know when the Silky Key letter was found?
On the 10th of November, I believe, is when they found it.
Yeah, it was on the 10th.
There you go, Stacy. Put the 10th in your song.
Oh, Stacy here in the chat.
Yes.
Hey, Stacy. Okay. We have any more questions that have floated by? Has anybody seen?
There's a question from Alex Gangit, and I'm probably butchering your name. I'm sorry there, Alex. Why was there no DNA from Teresa on the key?
That is an interesting question, and
because it was scrubbed clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most likely.
You would still think that there would be something on that cloth part of the connecting to the fob or the lanyard thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
They never swabbed for any of that stuff, just the black part of the key, if I remember right, and the key itself.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think Silkman said they did swab that.
Did he?
The blue part.
Yeah.
She didn't do the fob part where they disconnect and connect, where like if he disconnected it from the part that was in the supposedly in the middle console in the car, like his DNA, he's pinching his fingers in there to push that apart. I mean, would
should be there.
DNA on that?
You would think, absolutely. There should be test DNA there.
DNA or her DNA.
Yep.
Yeah. It was only his DNA, no mixture, no nothing. So
I found that quite surprising, to be honest.
yeah, it can only be explained that he is a big shedder and she is not.
Well, even I think it was Gone that said that, you know, even if Teresa's DNA was on there, that his would have covered it up and you wouldn't see it. And I don't believe that. Even in 2005, in that era, I think they would still found a mixture.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's put it this way: the key isn't. If you ask me, that wasn't even her key. It looked like a new key. And as far as being hard to clean, no, you could dip the whole thing in bleach and it would be completely cleaned. So that is not hard to do.
What's that, Alice?
No.
As far as I'm concerned, that's a key that she's supposed to have used every day with using that car, and it's supposed to be the keys that she's had for the beginning of getting that car. My dad has had keys all car keys all my life, and the key gets like a wear and tear and an oil residue and things like that. We're getting put into the keyhole all the time. So there's markings on the key. That key is far too clean. I think it's a spare key that was lying about because they couldn't find her key. I think they got given a spare key, and I think that's what it is. And that's maybe why there wasn't so much DNA on it belonging to Teresa, even if there was. And I don't think they would have said that there was or no.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you because I had cars all my life, and any key that I had that I used on a daily basis for, car I drove for even a year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not only that, but you wear that silver part off and it starts getting out into a different color. And there's also wear
the
on
brass underneath, right?
That's exactly right.
Brass.
And the dirt in the crevices, and it was just way too cleaned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a
just
question.
To be devil's advocate. I mean, she could have lost her keys that morning and grabbed her spare.
Right on, Susan.
And never used it before.
Possible.
Yeah, but the
spare key was in her bag in the back that nobody wanted to look in the beginning because
that too.
Photographer and holding a bunch of keys when you're out doing your photography, like she was in the one picture.
Right.
It would be more bulky and a pain in the ass while you're trying to hang your cameras on your neck and everything else. So she's wearing a dress maybe or nice slacks, so she don't have anywhere to stick her keys. So I think she probably just stuck her keys in her purse, left her purse in the car, and locked it with the valet key, and then took the key and put it around her neck when she did her shots and left it in that blue bag in the back. But
that's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I left my keys and everything in the car and took my bag with my cameras and the setups and all I needed and dragged it in. That's it. One key, stuck it in my bra.
You have another question? Did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a question, but it says, why do we have one of the fakest ass pics? This is from TTM Fangirl. I have ever seen of some smuck with a gloved hand pointing to a tiny bone on the top of the burn pit soil. That's our Institute picture.
Yeah. That's a DCI guy. That's a DC guy. That was taken on the 11th. And the 11th was, it's the burn pit. And the burn pit was for the story, it was the primary burn site. But what they did to that day, they just rampaged the whole fucking burn pit because they didn't want any evidence, to be found left. So this just like went in there with bobcats. But wait a minute, we just have to point out one more last picture, pointing out to a little tiny piece of bone.
Yeah.
This was actually this is the only in situ picture. If we have to believe that it was one,
yep.
That's
crazy.
That's taken from the burn pit. What the fuck? That's 11th. We found the bones.
They had a glove on to show that they wore gloves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is.
Here's another
How
one.
many pictures are there with them handling evidence without wearing gloves?
Every one of them.
And bones in the burn pit. None.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your next question?
Isn't one of Teresa's cameras supposedly missing?
I also bought the expensive camera. As far as we know, we don't know where.
Missing,
and we don't
have any proof that she took that one.
Yeah, we don't know if it's missing or we have no idea because it's not mentioned anywhere. And if I'm remembering correctly, she was buying that from Tom Pierce.
She bought it from Pierce. Pierce had a big collection of them.
Yeah.
In one of the videos he made for the news, he had a big collection of them in a showcase.
Yeah.
In the photography studio. Yeah, and supposedly she had bought it from him when she first started working for him or whatever.
Just so that any new joiner to this case, that Hasselblad camera is expensive. They were.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention to say a couple $1,000. I could be off on that, but I think that's right. I think that another person in the case that's a photographer said that they were really expensive, not like that Canon Sure Shot or whatever she used at the Auto Trader Sound or whatever it was, Power Shot. I can't remember what it was called. Those are relatively cheap digital cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to mention, JJX, that Southern Australian has found the IV to coffee yet. So welcome, Dr. Silkman.
Yeah.
Hi, Doc. Hi, Doc.
I've got a question for you guys. Don't you ever sleep?
No.
You're really muted there, Doc. You sound like your microphone's covered up.
Yeah, he's laying down, I think.
Yeah, I'm
muffled.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
You had the covers over your head. We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm literally in bed. I was going to say those Hasselblad cameras are thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And they're used by professional photographers mainly for things like weddings or portraits or family shots. You don't use a Hasselblad to take pictures of junk cars or cars.
Or if sports events, because it doesn't have it's
correct.
Not a good, right, yeah.
Correct.
I know a little bit about them.
Yeah, they're very high quality.
Well, I mean, I could see her taking it maybe, for like a classic car that's been restored. Somebody it's like doing an expose, doing a really nice photo shoot. But other than that, no, I agree with you 100%. She wouldn't use that.
Yeah. All right, there's another one. Who unlocked the RAV? And was it before the key was found in the bedroom?
I can answer that. And yes, the RAV was taken to the crime lab, and on November 6th, in connection with, gosh, I'm going to pull up I'm going to have to pull that file up to get his name, but there was a DCI or a Wisconsin crime lab analyst that communicated to Fassbender that they called in a locksmith to gain entry to the RAV. Harrington, thank you. That was his name. He's the one who reported that. He did not say that they made a key. Now, did they? I don't know. I suspect they did. But to gain, it's been said that they could go by the VIN number and make a key, but we also have information that says that they had to get the code for those keys off the lock on the inside of the door. There was a code that gave them the exact thing, so a locksmith could make the exact key. So,
and that code, sorry, Jack, is on the passenger door side.
Yeah,
right.
You have to be inside.
Not the driver's side, because I actually downloaded the manual of that particular RAV, and they showed various ways you can get into the RAV. So it's likely that the locksmith used a jimmy, just to open the door, pop the lock.
I agree. That's what I think he did to gain entry immediately.
That's what the Robert's saying.
My ex used to do repo, and they could cut a key off of the bed. They had to look the bed up in a special book that went to the cutter, and then they could cut a key before they go to get the car.
See, the thing is that Toyota communicated to Fassbender, if I remember telling him, correct me if I'm wrong, yours and Dr. Silkman, he communicated that those locks, the lock assembly, they repeated every 5,000 vehicles for the RAV. And each vehicle, each model has its own series. Yeah. So as I understand is that right?
When they make the car and give it locks, it probably has the same code they get out of the car on the side or wherever they said to look for that code. that is listed with its VIN, so they could probably
Yes, it is.
VIN and still get that information.
And somebody else also asked in the chat, who can make keys? Well, any junkyard could make keys, most likely, because they are called out all the time. Tow companies.
Well, any repo man would
Right,
have
any
the cutter
repo man,
and
there's a
the
lot of
code
them.
book. The code book, because you take the bid and the year and the make and the model of the car and you look it up in the book, and that propagates you the number, and then you punch out the key code, and then you take the key with you to go repo the car. That's all done beforehand.
Yeah, I agree. But the fact that the crime lab actually made a key sometime later goes to show that the locksmith didn't make a key. He used, in my opinion, he used the Slim Jim.
That's what I think.
Otherwise, why is the crime lab making now a third key? It'll
Exactly.
make no sense.
Makes
And
no
here's the
sense at all.
stupid. And here's the stupid thing, right? Why didn't they open up the RAV4 while it was at the salvage yard and stop all the crap about trying to move that RAV? Right? Because remember how they had trouble moving the RAV? They had
Huge
to
trouble.
disassemble the drive. Yeah. All they had to do was call a locksmith with a Slim Jim, open up, go in there with forensic gloves, push the gear to neutral, done.
They would have done that in any normal Any normal investigation would have done it right there, would have had the crime lab out there, and they would have been taking samples, and nobody would have been touching it until that was done. Then they would have sealed it and moved it. That is a professional way, if you ask me.
And there was no crime scene tape on the RAV.
Exactly.
Why was the RAV found at 11? About what was it? 10:30.
10:15 or something.
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the dogs came in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everything was wasted.
What was that with the 4 hours?
Yeah. Wasting
Why
time.
so many hours in between? I mean,
I have a question for Dr. Silkman.
Yes.
It says, can you tell us more about fluids? What fluids should have been in the burn pit if she was burned?
Well, basically, if you take a human body and you cremate that person, you've got fat, a huge amount of fat. A lot of the other bodily fluids will evaporate away. So what happens is, because you've got a high content of fat in your body, you're going to see a black goo in the bottom of the burn pit if a human being was actually cremated there. But there was no black goo found, which tends to suggest that the bones, that a human body, wasn't burnt there, that you had item BZ, which was the charred muscle tissue still stuck on a bone, to me confirms that Teresa Horbach wasn't cremated in a professional crematorium, because if it was, the temperatures would be so high, there'll be no muscle left. So she couldn't have been burnt in a crematorium. There's the conspiracy theory that she was taken to a crematorium and burnt there. No, it tends to suggest that she was dismembered and her body parts were put in a burn barrel. A burn barrel can get hot enough to cremate someone.
Yep.
And the mere fact that they found cremains in Yonder burn barrel number 2 is very telling. That was probably where she got cremated, in there.
Okay, here's another one. Here, this one's for you, Jinxie. What's the deal with some guy named Bradley Check?
Oh boy.
Why is it?
I'm trying to get all the questions. Because you know more about Bradley Check than any of us.
He is somebody that Teresa knew. She was possibly sleeping with at one point in their relationship. He and his wife had boudoir. How do you say that word? Pictures done.
Boudoir.
And they ended up filing for divorce not long after that, and they never really ruled him out as a suspect.
And she got dragged into the divorce.
She got dragged into the divorce because the wife wanted the pictures, including the negatives from that photo shoot. And
Yeah.
so there was some cool things going on with that.
Well, that brings up.
That he texted. He
He was
said that
having
he
an
texted
affair.
Teresa at 12:45 on November 31st, and yet we still see no text message records of anything of any kind.
So Jazz Naz, you can tell your girlfriend.
Last night when we were watching that show that I know was much later. It was 2012, I think, when that what's her name, Brittany Wood, went missing. They were able to see. I don't know if you saw that. They have a record. It was from AT&T, and it doesn't show the text messages, but it says outgoing text, incoming text, outgoing text, incoming text, with all the phone numbers. And there still should be something like that for Teresa back in 2005, because I used to get them with my bill when in like 2002, 2003, 2004.
I got him in 2005 because I had Singular as well.
Well, Jazz, I'm not asking that question. You tell Carl to go ask Dr. Silkman. Twitter Carl.
Oh boy, Twitter Carl.
Jazz goes, I'm asking for a friend named Carl. Well, I'm not answering that question.
Is that what he's calling himself today?
Yeah. Well, the question was, do you think it's possible for Stephen Avery to remove the key from the RAV with gloves? What the fuck?
What?
I would think so. Why not?
Yes, all night long he was going out throughout the night, putting on gloves, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off. That makes perfect sense.
So he could bleed in soft spots.
Perfect logical thinking.
Right?
You get back to the photos that we were talking about a minute ago with Bradley Check, and I also want to take that a step further because Sheriff Poggle got that out of Teresa's house, out of her her belongings and whatnot. But the thing is that if I'm not mistaken, they that wasn't given any kind of evidentiary number. So that brings up another question: what else might have been taken that really wasn't basically documented in some capacity, right?
What did they take out of her house that they didn't document?
I don't know. I don't know what else they took.
Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the shoes?
I'm talking about the photos.
The photos, supposedly, from the trunk in her bedroom.
Yeah.
The negatives and photos. Yeah.
So there's two things: the Bradley pictures and her shoes that they used for the dog tracking. Those are
maybe
don't have no evidence tag.
Maybe, just maybe, Ryan, he's so helpful, he sent them to the checks and to the people that those photos belong to. Maybe he just did the right thing. Excuse me, my joke.
Okay.
Maybe because they were in another court case with his, like maybe it was transferred over to his court case and they ended up giving them back to Bradley's wife.
I don't know. What's that, Doc?
I was going to say, can I answer that question about could Stephen Avery have taken the key out with a glove?
Sure, Carl's listening.
Well, if you think about it, if he actually took the key out of the RAV4 with gloves, then what's his DNA doing on the key, right? That's one. And secondly, why isn't Teresa's DNA on that key, right? So quite clearly he couldn't have used gloves, because it doesn't explain why his DNA and only his DNA is present on that key when you consider that Teresa Horbach was the owner of that key.
Right.
And if he was actively bleeding, right, you can't explain why all of a sudden he would decide to use a glove and not clean the RAV. It makes no sense. You can't have it either way.
T1 says he thinks this is plausible for SA to leave the blood stain on. Is it? He thinks. I think it's plausible for SA to leave the blood stain on the ignition if he removed the keys standing on the passenger side of the vehicle, reaching across.
But if he did that, if he's actively bleeding, then there would be blood on the key. Because remember, the key fob is material and it's absorbent. And when Dr. Palinek had a look at the key, he was not able to find any trace evidence of blood, right? And you only need a small amount of blood to extract DNA from, right? And, it'll be great if they use the MVAC system on that key fob to see if Teresa Horbach's DNA is on that key or who else is on that key, right? So you can't have it both ways. If Stephen Avery is wearing gloves, that means he's conscious about leaving forensic evidence behind, right?
Yep.
So therefore, why is he going to leave a RAV with his blood in it? It makes no sense.
Yep. Put them on to pull the hood latch. You get
And
us.
didn't they let somebody touch that key after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Reels film crew.
Reels producer.
Yeah.
But think about it. Like, has someone actually mimicked leaning in from the passenger side and grabbing a set of keys out of the ignition? Because even though I'm right-handed, I'm going to grab them with my left hand. It's quite awkward to try and turn your right hand to pull the key out.
Maybe
It's
from the
much
driver. Maybe
easier.
from the driver's
Okay.
door. Maybe from the driver's door.
For me, it looks like the blood was planted from the back door passenger side where they poured it and oops, got some on that little area of the frame, went over the seat with whatever they had, a dropper, an eye drop, whatever it was. And as they're going over to the ignition, you see the drops. You see the drop, one drop right here on the CD case, one drop right here on this on the seat, another drop right here in the middle of the console thingy. Then there's some dried flakes there, and then poof poof onto the thing. Like it, no one ever explained to me in trial court why there was blood in the back frame of the passenger side.
No, there is no good explanation.
That in fact, Mystic, what you just said makes the most sense, because if you have a look at the droplet, droplet of blood on that back frame, it's a solid drop, which means that if somebody came in there with a pipette full of blood, that's exactly what you will see. And they go in from the back. You're correct.
And then
if they
subconsciously, when they planted the RAV, I think it happened before the RAV was planted on the yard, and subconsciously when they were hiding everything, they hid that back door with the Rambler hood. It was like they were hiding where they went through.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, because the droplet on that back frame is solid. And, that explains why you've got blood on the CD case as well. So it's dripping from... So in other words, somebody went in there really quick and just distributed blood.
I don't understand. Doc, I don't understand what was the point, talking about the blood and the CD case. Now, if there was a drop on there and just left there, that's one thing, but it's smeared all over it. I don't understand that.
Someone tried to get rid of it.
Exactly.
Someone said, "Oh shit, what's it doing here?" And someone tried to smear it. Correct. Like I said, it honestly makes no sense at all. But I like what Mystic Jigs just said. I reckon that's the point of entry, the back door.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, Jeff Jones wants to know where are T.H. house keys? Did they ever find them?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
We have no idea.
I know that Jinx answered this in chat, but I don't think that Bethany's seen it. She wants to know if Teresa was older than her brothers.
Teresa it goes her brother Tim, he's the oldest. Then it goes Teresa, and then it goes Mike, all within
and then
4
Katie.
or 5 years.
And then Katie.
And then it goes Katie and Kelly are the two younger cousin sisters, as I call them, because they are technically her uncle's stepdad's kids. So and Mike Hallbach is 100% her brother. It's not a half brother, a cousin, or anything. The other sisters are.
Okay.
Sherry one is asking.
You're guitaring anybody? Alice, you're guitaring.
Yeah, you might want to pop out and pop back in.
Yeah. And she's asking, why did Bobby testify what Mike O said not considered hearsay?
Say that one more time. I didn't hear that.
Give me a reset. I need to find it again. I've just lost it.
Was it the one Bobby testified to say what Mike O said, considered hearsay?
Yeah, it was that one, Linda. Yeah.
Okay. Why did Bobby testify to something that was supposedly hearsay? About Michael. About the joke.
About the joke. I don't think that Beauty and String questioned that as hearsay. I think they really questioned it because of the talking about a police report. There was no report dated the 10th, and so they questioned it. I don't think they really questioned the hearsay aspect of it, as I recall. I don't remember that. If anyone else does.
Yeah, well, I think what she meant was, why was he testifying if it was hearsay? If it was hearsay. That's, I think, what they were saying. And the reason why, because Dean or Jerry, I can't remember which one, asked him.
I can't answer that.
The fact that it even got in. The fact that it even got in there because it was just hearsay. That's what I don't understand. The fact, but then there was a lot of stuff that
they argued.
Kratz and Fallon and Gann and stuff like that slipped in there because all they needed to do was to say it, even if it got objected to or not. All they needed to do was say it or slip it out there, and then it's in the jury's mind anyway, even if they're getting told, forget what was just mentioned.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think the point was that they argued
that testimony that was going to be up for, like, they were going to give him a mistrial and start all over again because of that comment that was made or question, but they agreed not to because it would have taken more time, more money for Avery. That they just continued on with.
I think that Beauty and String wanted a mistrial, but the judge said no.
Yeah, and they just didn't really.
I think happened.
They didn't, and he never addressed the fact. Willis never addressed the fact of what Kratz did. They just moved on. They just dropped it and moved on, which is crazy. But no, to answer her question, I don't think it was really ever a question about it being a hearsay statement.
Right, they did object, but never was stricken. Exactly.
What's that, Doc?
I was going to say the reporters actually Kratz during a press conference about the Michael statement, and
Doc,
Get your pillow out of your mouth.
Yeah, you're muffled again, Doc. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that Ken Kratz was asked that question during a press conference by the reporters, and he said that he considered that a minor and trivial part of the case, and it wasn't the main focus. That's because he got bloody caught out. That's why he trivialized it.
Sure. Yep, I agree. Okay, what's our next? We have another question coming up yet? Have we missed some along the way? I've been trying to watch.
Asking any more questions? I think I did get them all. I really don't think that I missed any.
I've been trying to follow along, but I'm having to kind of flip back and forth. But
yeah,
I think we've managed to get the majority of the ones. To anybody in the chat, if we have missed a question or anything like that, please put it in the comments afterwards, and one of us will get back to us, or even come and join the Discord and ask the question yourself. Get involved in the chat.
Yes.
Well, in the meantime, I'm going to pop up on the screen. We've been doing these open mics for months now, and I think they've been a really good and positive thing because we're not necessarily bound by making a murder. We've done some outside of the case. There were the two cases. I mean, we've constantly.
I said, and this all started just with a question, isn't it?
With just a question right there. Yep. And this all started with from Linda, and it's grown from that one simple question. So it's a good thing because we can only dive so deep into the information that we have. I mean, we can reanalyze and relook at, but at a certain point, we kind of have to come to the end of that because we can't go anywhere else with it without new information, and we're constantly trying to get that. It's not only me. I mean, I've got 5 or 6 voices in right now, I think Sunshine. How many of you got in pending right now, Sunshine?
Like 25 or 30.
See, I'm just a little beginner compared to her, but I'm trying to limit because these are, well, they're all, you never know what you're going to get, but I think Jinx has got some. Yeah.
I made a mistake of filing like 15 on when I was talking to Jinxie one day. She kept coming up with these great ideas, and and Amanda was on vacation, so I was like, I'll just bam her email or her email inbox. When she comes back, she'll just really hate me. So, and I got
when you're not the only one.
When she finally came back, I had a whole bunch of it takes 10 working days for to get a response to you. So I'm sure she was real happy with me.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Interested to see how the ones play out for Schmitz, Baldwin, and Bass. That's going to be an interesting one. I think that could be an interesting investigation if we can get a hold of that.
Let's talk about that, Sunshine, for a minute. What do you guys think of them being able to deny you a personnel record of a police officer or sheriff's deputy because there's disciplinary actions in their personnel file while they were officers? Should that be open to the public without having to ask that officer if it can be released, or should it just be released and we should be able to know what disciplinary actions have been taken against the police while they were working for us, the people?
It should be open.
Because I find it BS that they are saying, oh, we can't have these records because there's disciplinary actions in there. And most likely those disciplinary actions are the very actions that I wanted information on when I was talking to Christina when she made the FOIA.
Right.
Because I want to know about that burning effigy that they had in 2009, where they burned their coworkers in an effigy because it was stress related.
Yep. Exactly.
A burn pit in the backyard.
Yeah, a burn pit in their own backyard. How ironic, right? I mean.
Yeah. Well, I talked to. Well, you saw what I said last night, Sunshine. I mean, I get it. I don't necessarily. They make these exceptions to a lot of their statutes in order to do whatever they want, which is unfortunate because a lot of times these exceptions, they actually kill the intent of the statute or they detract from it greatly. So, I guess I get.
Also, it says that they can deny it if the person is an employee. These two are no longer employees. So something happened that they are no longer employees that may have to do with those disciplinary actions. So why shouldn't they be released now that they're no longer working for the department?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably some kind of legislative meetings where they discussed it that maybe even are publicly available, because most of these statutes, they have many meetings before they actually make it law, and a lot of times those are actually publicly available. So that may be something you want to look at. I don't know.
They had listed two, I believe, which was 19.356 or something, if I remember right. I don't.
That's right. That's correct. It's 19.356.
They had cited.
So that would be
I went to go read that, of course, and then of course when you're reading something in their legislation, they're like, please see 19.35, then go see 1995.675. It's like I have to read 15,000 chapters to understand one sentence in their law. Well,
it's actually two of the exceptions in there, and I read them last night because Sunshine had asked me to give her my opinion. I mean, it looks legit. Now, whether we agree with it or not is different. I'm talking about what's there and what they're saying, that they have to take these procedural steps.
When you read it, it doesn't say it can't be done. It just says she has to notify them before she can. she's trying to say she's not going to do it. Like, just wait. When you get a chance, reread it again and see if I'm getting the gist of it.
No, but from what I got from her reply, it says to me, it says it has to go through the process of contacting them first. It doesn't. I didn't get the fact that she wasn't going to do it. That you're just going to have to wait. There's so many days for this and so many days for that. So it's just going to be a waiting game to see what they come back with.
I think what you got to do, Sunshine Christina. You got to make like the Supreme Court judge and have some patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went ahead and asked for a copy of the video. I responded, and I went ahead and just asked for a copy of the video as well. So if we get that, we will have it. Because you can't find it on social media anymore.
The effigy video, is it gone? It used to be up.
I can't find it.
Wow. Have you looked on N64's website?
No, that's the one place I haven't looked recently. I did look for it before, but that was before I got really good at finding things.
I thought he had it, but and it's in a news report.
Yeah, I'm gonna look again and see.
Anyway, well, I got this up here for these are the open mics, where they started way back, and we've talked about so much. We talked about the depositions, Cuss Road. We've actually talked about Cuss Road multiple times. A DCI report on the RAV4. Here's where we jumped off into Murder in a Small Town. This is Luke and Jody's case, and from Alice's neck of the woods, which is a really excellent case in wrongful conviction, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure most people will agree that's done any studying on this. Maybe not everyone. Danita's case that Nosy brought to us. And we've had some special ones, when Ricky was able to get a hold of this recording from the DCI that Jeff Wish did of Barb and Scott. Which is just crazy. I'm not getting off too far into that. Dr. Sandra Lean came to visit us. Yep.
There's one thing. There's an update on that Danita Tut case, right, Nosy?
Yeah.
What's the update?
She'll be paroled in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's still going to try to get herself exonerated, though, even afterwards. They're already working on it. They're working on it right now. But yeah, she's up for parole. I think she's being released actually on October 1st. So
I don't blame her for going for an exoneration.
She is. She's going to go for the exoneration, which, I mean, obviously I'm going to help, because it'll be kind of a lot easier to try to help someone get exonerated when you can actually, talk to that person and sit with them, and it's not from behind prison or whatever, but, she's going to be out on parole and rules and all kinds of crap, and she's going to get herself exonerated, as she should.
Is she going to be able to have contact with her children? All that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a grown adult now, so.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They can't really do anything regarding that or whatever, but you know what? I don't really want to hear anything regarding that, because they charged her with attempted murder of a child, but before they actually charged her, they let the kid go back and live with her for almost 3 years.
I know.
So,
ridiculous.
They were so concerned. I didn't get to tell, you weren't around when I told the girls this, but I had coffee with a friend of mine the other day, and she's actually a detective now here in DFW. What is it? She's like the lead detective for crimes against children. And she actually took a class from the detective in the Danita Tut case. And I was like, small world. So I can't wait to tell her more about that. But yeah, I can't wait to dive into that. But I hope one day, if y'all ever want to, do an open mic on Rodney Reed.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd love to.
Get together
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
get together whatever you want presented, and we'll do it.
I've got my, I've just like I've got all you guys, and then we've got Don Lewis group, and then I've got my small group for Rodney Reed, and they would love to come on because I don't know if you guys remember. Y'all remember? She's a big time Stephen Avery guilter, Lisa O'Brien. Do y'all remember her?
No.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
Well, she's like, full fledged into the Rodney Reed case now or whatever, and she goes on her podcast all the time and spews out misinformation. So we'd love to do, one that actually puts out the facts, because we have the documents and stuff like that, and that's the type of stuff that they put out. But you know how guilters don't ever put out documents and stuff.
Yeah, and I'd like to do Darley too.
Ooh, yeah, we can do Darley too. My group is Rodney Reed. They know some good Darley info.
Yeah.
Do it then.
So there's a lot we can talk about.
Absolutely. These other cases are, the Avery cases, is our main goal, but these other cases deserve attention too, I think, and the wrongful conviction. So let's do it. Let's get it together and get it done.
Does anyone know anything about the Julius Jones case out of Oklahoma?
Yeah, there's quite a few people that know. Nosy knows. I think JC knows a little. Rhonda actually knows a lot about it. Just Rhonda?
Is hell bent on killing him. He has a hearing scheduled next month, and the DA signed his death warrant for October 28th of this year.
Yeah.
Is he the one in Missouri?
I thought it was Oklahoma. It could be Missouri.
No, this is the entire same team that Daniel Holtzclaw is currently dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a traitor, and so Attorney General Mike Hunter, he resigned, and now he's getting a divorce, yada, yada, yada. And then they brought in Kevin Stitt, appointed this new a-hole, and within 1 week of him taking office, he has signed 8 death warrants.
Yeah.
Within 1 week.
Wow.
He's definitely a man who enjoys the power of putting other people to death.
Yeah, and so the deal with Julius is that he's still going to have his commutation hearing first. But yeah, I mean, just for him to come in and sign that death warrant when, there's so much questionable evidence, and he knows nothing about the case. Nothing.
Wow.
So it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary for him right now. But, we watched, 3 million signatures in a march to the governor's mansion, and all kinds of crazy stuff happened for Rodney. And Julius Jones has a huge support system all the way up into the NFL, the NBA, all of it. So if it comes down to it, I mean, there's going to be a huge commotion.
Well, for Rodney, whatever you can get together, let's plan to do that and get that presented soon.
Okay.
Whatever you need me to do or whatever you want to present, let's get together and we'll put it together and get it on there, because we've talked about it. We just haven't done it.
Just make sure your moderators are ready.
Oh yeah.
He's like for next weekend.
Hey, whenever you want to do it, you just let me know and we'll get it lined up and we'll get it on there.
Ninja Linda's here. Don't worry.
Okay, I'll get my girls from the Rodney case, the ones I was with at the hearing, and make sure pick a date, make sure it's good with them, and then I'll let you know.
Absolutely. Okay.
Oh my God, y'all have me going the wrong way again.
There is one more question here, Jax.
Sure.
It's been sitting here for a little bit.
Yep.
Alice put it here. I just seen it. It's from Angie Dickinson. It says, if you could go back in time to 2005, what advice would you give Stephen? That's kind of an unusual question.
That's a good one.
I'd say move out of state.
I would say
family and go. Bye-bye.
I would say, well, I mean, if we give it to, let's just say to the point of, they're coming after him for Teresa, I would say don't talk to anyone or don't say anything to the police. Do not talk to them at all. Not a word.
Take your family and go.
Talk to your lawyer.
That was my thought too, Jack.
You
Well,
can
I mean,
fight the law. You can fight your suit though from another state. So take your family and get the hell out.
yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't. I mean, he was. He couldn't. I mean, he didn't have any money. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's probably good advice if he could get the hell out and get away from there.
The entire family should have just lawyered up all under one umbrella and never said a word.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
By not doing that,
my advice would be shut the fuck up. Do not say a word. Did you not learn from your first time?
Yeah. Everybody get the same lawyer and let him handle everything.
Pete Moss says hide the keys somewhere else. And Michelle says
never stop the depositions.
Yeah, don't stop the deposition.
Yeah,
Michelle says people were telling him to move, I guess. So
still, he didn't have any money, I mean, he'd had to borrow from Alan and Dolores, but yeah, don't talk.
I would tell him don't date Jody.
Well, he was in he was in love though, Anyway,
I wouldn't have said that one because Jody's actually, even if you guys don't see it, Jody's kind of his alibi too, because he had those 2 phone calls on the 31st that don't sound like he's burning anybody or doing anything like that. He doesn't even mention a fire, I don't think, on the 31st.
But they didn't do him any good. It didn't do him any good.
Yeah.
He might not have been running around doing crazy stuff,
But it sure played a role in my mind when they said, well, she talked to him twice on that day, and they played those calls to show that there was nothing fishy going on when I watched Ma'am. I mean, it did make an impression on me in the beginning, so I don't know.
That's why the crime scene had to be moved to the ASY. That's why they had to move the crime to Stephen's house, because Stephen didn't go anywhere. That's why nothing showed up until.
Yes, Amy Chick says, I would tell Steve to get CCTV security.
I was just going to say the same thing. Put cameras everywhere.
You're right, Susan. Everywhere. My God.
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay, Jack, that's it.
Dr. Sandra Lean, we'd, Doc can comment about this, but we'd love to have her back and have them do another Q&A. That was fantastic. We learned so much from her. She's such a really good authority. I get the other side. She doesn't know everything about the case, but for my money, she knows as much as anyone does, and she's from our viewpoint of Luke being not guilty. And I think she's a great source. And so anyway, I'd love to have her back. So maybe someday we can. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Jack, that was a really great interview, and I learned a lot. And it's fantastic that Sandra is so passionate about the case, and that's exactly what you need. You need someone who has incredible amount of knowledge and is passionate. That's very important.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Any of us.
Yeah, we're not addicted either, right?
No,
and like God, we're not addicted.
Yeah. Here's the state's response to Zellner's motion. We covered that. Keep talking till they're walking. We talked about what's a Denny. We've had so many really good discussions about so many various parts of the case, and other cases, because wrongful conviction, that leads into kind of a segue to a lot of us. I mean, I've been streaming a lot of stuff, and not just me. There are others that stream too, but we talk about these other cases. And anybody want to talk about what we watched last night?
Oh yeah, that's
Which one? The Dr. Death?
No,
the Brittany Wood.
The Brittany Wood one from Alabama.
Yeah,
this was
a crazy case where a girl goes missing, and then they find out the whole family's into weird incestual sex trafficking type of stuff, or sex ring with their own kids and stuff. Yeah,
it's not the whole family, but a large part.
Okay, not the whole family, but a lot of the family members were linked to the sex ring. And those that are not, there's a lot of them still sitting in prison. Some of them were actually abused as children and kind of forced into that way and then were convicted, even though they were trying to cooperate. He's trying to get, and another thing that bothers me about that case is that guy is actively trying to get mental health help in jail for these things that happened to him and for things that he did, and yet they deny him any of that mental health access. I really hate that about our system.
Yeah,
they say it went back 3 generations in that family. This one,
not that I'm talking, the one we're talking about this girl Brittany Wood. The series is called Monster in the Shadows. It's a 3-part documentary on Peacock, and I actually I just actually opened up the app and I saw it and I watched the trailer and I'm like, oh, because it's new. It's really focuses on the mother. And what she went through and trying to get the story out and what the police did to her and the prosecutors did to her. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible what they did because she spoke out about this Brittany going missing and how they handled the case. And so they went after her. They literally, and her brother. They really went after her brother. Oh, my God. And that detective, he was saying, he was saying one thing during the documentary that that this woman allegedly said that she was part of it and she did this, and then they would play the actual interview in the jail, and she didn't say that at all. It was nothing like it. It was crazy.
He was a liar.
He was a huge liar.
He said the brother was a liar because he believed, not that he had proof, but he believed that when he asked a question and that he answered no and he shook his head yes, meant that he was lying. But then when they said something to him like, did the brother actually ever confess to it? And he said no, but his head was shaking yes. The own detective was saying no, but shaking his head yes.
Yeah.
I found that very interesting too.
Yeah, you'd love that one, Doc, because it's just maddening what this guy did. And then the other one is...
the other one... interesting that guy had a job, Jax, don't you?
Well, yeah, he's... apparently he got ran off that job because now he owns his own private detective agency. So he left there right in that same time frame. So I don't know what happened, but he's no longer employed as a law enforcement officer. So we found that very interesting. The other one we watched is Dr. Death. It's a 4-part series. We watched 2 of them about this neurosurgeon that came out of Memphis and what he did down in Texas. Oh my God, this guy.
And that was Peacock also, right?
Peacock also, yep.
Yep.
It's,
oh my God, Jesus. Oh.
Not that to be confused with Dr. Death, the movie they made about him with Joshua Jackson.
Series.
There's a 4-part series called Dr. Death.
Undoctored.
Undoctored files or something.
Well, I got to confess, Jax, I couldn't wait to find out what happened, so I stayed up and watched the rest of them. But I'm going to watch it again tonight.
No spoilers.
I've not told anybody anything. I have not spoiled it at all.
Okay, good girl. Excellent. So
it's really worth watching.
I mean, not only these 2, we watched Outcry. I think a lot of us here have watched Outcry. That was a Epics series, which was another wrongful, terrible case. Oh my God, how it was handled. What was the other one that happened in?
That was Showtime, actually. With
it was Showtime. I said Epics. Showtime. The other one was that 4-part series that happened in Massachusetts. I can't think of the name of it. When my mind went blank. Anyway, we watched multiple.
Trial 4.
Well, that's another one. No, that's a different one. That's a great one too. That's a Netflix series. But
there's a lot of things happening in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
it's River something. The one I'm thinking about. If I have time, I'll
no, what was it? River what?
River something. Fall River. That's it. Fall River.
Because I didn't get to see all of them.
Yeah. That was another really good one. And it was an older case, but it's the same thing. In all these cases, we see that you have law enforcement officers, prosecutors especially, and then even judges that are willing to take this other road than what's really what really has happened, and allowed a case to move forward under really false pretenses, which a lot of, we can say this right now, this is what happened during Stephen and Brendan's cases. I mean, Brendan's case was a mini Avery case. I don't care how you slice it. That's what it was, because they didn't have any time on Brendan, except the fact that they coerced him to say a bunch of shit. So all they did was bring in people that they had at the Avery trial and just reiterate it in a shorter version, with the exception of Dr. Robert Gordon. His was pretty good and pretty long. He was a defense witness, but all these cases, it's just crazy. So I think we've been able to present and get a wider view, because a lot of the other guilters say, oh, you just watched Man 1 and Man 2 and you're just, that's all you're following, that's all you're looking at. Well, no, it's not. We're open to everything. I want everything. I want all the information. Why are we continuing to write these FOIAs years later, at our own expense or whatever expense? How do we pay for it? Even if we crowdsource together and pay for stuff, why would we do that if we were just interested in what MAM had? Well, we're well beyond that. Come on. So, any other questions? I wanted to play a couple of things here for us while we're in review mode.
I don't see any, but I just want to announce that these things we're talking about, if you join our Discord, you can come in the stream and watch them too.
Absolutely.
Just, check out the video. If you do belong to Discord, check out the video suggestion room. Leave us a suggestion if we can get it. Jax is always streaming. He lets everybody know. So yeah, you can join in on that. And TTM Fangirl wants us to say prayers for everybody that is in the hurricanes right now and in Afghanistan. There, I'm done.
I'm going to play a little clip here that everybody's seen before. This is just a reminder. We can talk about it and I'll talk about it. But this is just one more thing in the case that is, in my opinion, wrong and unexplainable from the standpoint there are not supposed to be any cameras in these rooms. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's for security or whatever. No electronics. That's what the guy testified to. Anybody, I don't think there's really any audio here to worry about. So, but if you want to unmute YouTube, you can. I'm going to play this. I'm not going to play. This is a 5-minute clip. I'm not playing it all. I'm just going to play some of it. Just as a reminder. Here we go. Okay, so that's about a minute. That's enough of that. This is a real irritant for me. As you guys know, I've bitched and griped and complained about this to ad nauseum and to no end, simply because of what happened at pretrial and Buting and String. I don't remember who was doing the questioning to John Byrne, the jail administrator, and him swearing, hey, we don't have any electronics in those rooms. It's not allowed, because of all the various members of law enforcement, lawyers, clergy, drug counselors, you name it, that where these prisoners come in and they talk to these people and not be recorded. I think that's a violation. Other people say it's not, but I think this is a direct violation of the lawyer-client privilege. I think there was audio attached to this. Why else would you have it? I'm sorry. If you look at the door that you can see there's one door. Typically, they place the jail guards there. There's another door, I think, that leads in behind where Jerry's that's sitting there directly behind him. I think there's another door on that end as well. And they also placed guards there as well. So that would have been a quicker response from anything that may have happened inside those rooms than somebody watching a video camera sitting wherever. I've also been told these were got by FOIA. I've actually got to talk to that person because I'd like to get a copy of that for you. They said they would provide it to me, so I definitely want to take a look at that. But the bigger thing is how did that information get out that those cameras were in there when the jail administrator himself testified that there was nothing back there? It's a real problem for me. So, with that said, I've got another something I want to play here. Just as a review, it's a real problem for me. Where'd it go? Get it back over here. Any more questions while I'm looking here, Linda or Alice? Anyone?
Well, I got knocked out, but if you're talking about what you were just showing me before I got knocked out 2 seconds ago and had to restart, I wanted to just say that if you notice, you don't see Jerry coming out with his camera. That seems to be everybody's thing. Oh, that was when they were showing that Jerry was doing that. He wasn't, right? He was just talking to his client, correct? Coming from above.
That's right. He was just talking. He was there for a visit. Now, the other thing, the video that's in MAM, that's the video the camera that they took off of him. That's not this video here. That's a different. Right. That's a separate video.
Another time that they were in on his. So, because I've heard people say they did it because they wanted to show Jerry bringing in a camera. That's bullcrap. They did it more than one time, and we don't know if there's any audio, and it's against the what they said, what they testified. I'm all on it with you, Tex, on this. To me, it's not a small thing.
No, it's not a small thing at all.
It violates Stephen's rights to privacy. And if they're doing it with him, well, they'll do it with anybody. And they didn't just do it, like some people say, just to show that Jerry brought a camera in. No. This is another time.
Yeah.
It's showing, a regular meeting with his counsel, his lawyer, and they are taping him. For what?
Yeah. It's a fact. It's just that simple fact, Linda.
Yeah.
That he is in there with his counsel, and nothing should be taken off that by anybody. The warden, the officers, the law enforcement. It should not be recorded by anybody. He is entitled to that client privilege. You know what I mean? So there should be no recording equipment.
Well, that's against his civil rights, correct? Isn't that right, Jackson? Yeah.
And for them to actually go on the stand and say, no, there should be no recording equipment whatsoever in that room, and then they get away with that, is beyond me.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just don't know how this just gets overlooked like it's, we can just record whoever we want. We can just do whatever we want, and completely violate someone's civil rights to a private access to a lawyer. I got a real problem with that, guy.
Yeah, I do too, Jax. And it doesn't, if they do it to Stephen, they're doing it to everybody. Who the hell they could do it to us? And it's not right. We are allowed to have confidence and confidentiality when we are talking to our lawyers.
Yeah, I agree.
Has anybody tried to FOIA that video?
Well, that's what I want to get the copy of this other.
Because did that not just come out because Kratz was trying to prove a point of something, and it was him that put it out?
Yeah, there's other.
That was never there.
There's other considerations there that I won't go into here. Just because I'll tell you later, it's not really something that I want, out the public domain, and I'll tell you later about what that is. But for him to do to release it, number one, to get it, that he even knew about it, the camera being there, because To me, it's a real problem. But I'm going to switch gears on us. This is another one I have a real problem with. I think you will have to unmute to hear this. I'm not. This is 15 minutes. I'm only going to play a couple minutes of this, and then because I have a real problem with this too. So everybody unmute YouTube so you can hear it. And here we go.
This is CBS 5. It's Anjanette. Hello?
Hello, this is a collect call from
Brandon.
An inmate at the Sheboygan County Jail. To accept charges, press 0. To refuse charges, press 1. To prevent calls from this facility, press 6. For a rate quote, press 7. Hello, this is a collect call from
Brandon.
This call is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Evercom.
Oh?
Brandon, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. This is Anjanette. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, well, I'm going to put you on hold for just a second, okay? I'm going to transfer you into another room. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay, if we get disconnected, will you call back?
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment. Yeah. I promise. Okay, bye.
And she says, yes.
Brendan, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi. We've never met or anything. My name's Anjanette, as I was saying.
Yeah.
I work at Channel 5. I'm a TV news reporter. I just want to be clear with you. I want to ask your permission to record our conversation. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are granting me permission to record this conversation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I've started the tape, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Brendan, do I have your permission to record this conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Brendan, how are you doing?
Well, not really bad, but I can't see none of my friends.
Do you see your mom?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Brendan, I was just wondering, your mom was saying you want your side of the story told with all of this. I know you got arrested on March 1st, and the police said that you told them, you know what the police said, that they said that you and you told them that you and your uncle killed and raped Teresa.
Yeah.
Mhm. What is your side of that story? What do you have to say about that? You said you want your side of the story told.
Well, my story is I came home from school at 3:45, started walking down the road, and me and Blaine were talking about who would get the phone first to call our friends, you know. And then we went in the house, Blaine, he called his friend first, and while he was talking to his friend, I was playing PlayStation 2, and I waited for a little bit, and then at 5 o'clock or about that, my mom came home and I talked to her, and she said she had to leave to go to the hospital with Scott.
Mhm.
And then after that, I watched TV until about 6 o'clock and got a phone call from Blaine's boss, Mike Cornelli, and told him that Blaine was going trick-or-treating with his friend. And after that, I watched TV until 7, and Steven called, and he asked me if I wanted to come over to the bonfire, so I told him I would, and I did, and then he told me that I was gonna help him clean up the yard, so we did, and we picked up van seat, wood, and some tires for the fire, and we picked that stuff up, and then we brought it to the fire, then we threw some of it on, and we went into the garage, and there was a puddle on the floor of some reddish black stuff, but I didn't know what it was from, but it was like I don't know, it's like probably 5 feet by 5 feet puddle or something. And so I cleaned that up with some folded eggs. And we threw the stuff in the fire after that, and then we sat there watching the fire, and then we threw some of the stuff on. And my mom came home at 9. Then she went into the house and called Steven on his cell phone to tell him that I was supposed to be home at 10 o'clock. And I had a sweater on. And so we waited for the fire to go down, and then he told me to go home to get some sleep for school tomorrow, the next day. And after that, I talked to my mom a little bit, then went to bed.
Okay, so one simple question. Back when people get involved in this case, and maybe even other cases, this kid here got screwed. There's no doubt about it. He had nothing to do with anything at all. But that didn't stop the state from what they did in taking his freedom, and they labeled him a sex. He'll be labeled a sex offender and all this other stuff without a shred of proof, nothing. And they did it anyway because they could. They wanted a conviction.
And Jack, can I just say,
please?
If you notice the story that he said, his recollections, he didn't stutter, he wasn't confused, he told it as it was, a simple story. And not only that, he repeated the same story, that particular story, the very first time he was questioned by Detective O'Neill. And he said the same thing to Michael O'Kelly.
Yep.
Right? So he repeated exactly the same thing. And if you notice in his voice, there's no stress, nothing. He told it as it was. He told the truth.
That's right. No waffling and, just nodding of the head or, nothing. He just told it. He told exactly what he remembered, which was the truth.
And he told it with confidence as
well.
Right.
That's right. And of course, as we all know, we've talked about this in that open mic, that whatever channel she worked for, I think it maybe was WBAY or something of that nature, they didn't air it because they let her come back and said, oh, his age, we talked to the lawyer and blah, blah, blah. But to me, it was just a cop-out. They didn't want this story out there because they would have looked foolish. I think it would have hurt the state. I think it would have improved Brendan's standing within the community, number one, because exactly what you just said, Doc. He told it with confidence. He didn't stutter. He just told what they did and what he remembered.
Yeah, and you compare that to the way he answered questions with Fassbender and Uyghur. Brendan was all over the place. SB was making it up. He didn't have a clear understanding of what he was saying, so it was all jumbled up. Whereas when he spoke to Anjanette, he said it absolutely clear. And not only that, he repeated the same story from day one on November the 6th when he was at Crivets. That's exactly what he said. And he wrote that down too for Michael O'Kelly. And what did Michael O'Kelly say to him? What's missing from your story, Brendan?
Yeah.
There's no Teresa. There's no Teresa. Hence, I can't help you.
Yep.
See how bad it is? It's ridiculous.
It's terrible.
Yeah, this interview here with her, he says it the way it happened. It should have been believed, but she turns it around and just she's just rough. She's not searching. I don't know. I just don't like the way she handled herself in the end when she's just like, wow, why would you say that? Why should we believe you? You know what I mean? That's just too much for him. He said his story. You got it. Leave it alone.
Well, a couple of times, and I didn't play the rest of it, but, everybody can listen to it. Well, what if what if I told you I saw, I heard this and that? Well, it didn't happen. That's not the way it happened. That's not what happened. He did say that several times, but that, I would really like to know when this actually took place, but we don't have that date as far as the metadata or anything like that. I'm still trying to get it. I don't know that I ever will be able to be successful on that, but I'm trying. But it would be interesting to know what date this was done. And then, of course, the decision for them not to use it. I don't know. I have a real problem with it. Why take the effort to get this interview? She acted like, because you heard her at the beginning, yes. And then all of a sudden, they don't use it. Come on. So,
yeah, and I don't know.
I have two questions for this little segment. One, what do you guys think of her asking him, a minor, for permission to record their phone conversation? Should that be legal? He is still a minor. He isn't convicted.
I don't think they should have been able to ask him anything without anybody around him at that age. I don't care what it is.
Actually, let's back up just a second. I can't answer that one, Jinx, but I'm almost positive that Anjanette asked Barb's permission. Because Barb is the one that arranged this.
Okay, well, that's good to know, but I just thought it weird. Like, is it okay, Brendan? Is it okay, Brendan? I mean, the call is recorded anyway because he's in a jail, but the way that she did it, it's like, he's also still a minor, and it's like, where is his parents' permission or his lawyer's permission to do this as a minor? Yeah. My next question would be, when you guys all first watched Ma'am, a lot of you didn't have access to, we didn't have access to all these records and stuff, so I'm just curious to like what your guys' first impression was of this reporter, Anjanette Levy, when you watched Ma'am. Like what did you come away thinking about her, and has that changed at all since you've heard this interview and other stuff that's happened since you've watched Ma'am?
I think she's a blip, blip, blip.
I'll let everybody else go. I'll let everybody else go.
I was like you, James. I thought she had good questions. I thought her facial expressions was like she didn't believe prosecution on a lot of things. So yeah, I thought she was really questioning everything.
Okay, now let's not get her confused though with the one that was different than her. She's the shorter one with the shorter dark hair. She's chunkier.
Emily Matesic.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
This one is the taller one with the long dark hair and the glasses.
She had long hair.
Yes, that's the one. That's the nice one
we're talking about right now. So,
yeah.
I walked away with, wow, there were a couple good reporters. Yeah. The Silver Fox, Erin Keller was one of them.
Yep.
And she was another one of them that I thought, well, maybe they actually are going to report on something and figure something out. But then at the end of it, like after I watched Ma'am and see all this stuff, and then in this interview, I already lost respect for her before this interview with him was aired. So I had already lost respect for her, but this interview just makes me even lose more respect.
But isn't she the one that said I was standing, when I was interviewing him, I was standing right where Teresa's bones were or some weird thing like that?
No, that was that other girl.
Okay. I'm very confused.
And she wasn't, by the way, she was standing out by the van.
Right.
And there were no bones found by the van where Teresa was, taking the pictures of the van. So that reporter was obviously off her mark as well, but that wasn't Anjanette Levy. Right.
Let's let everybody else answer the question before we move on too far. Alice, what was your opinion of Anjanette before and after?
Well, in the beginning, I thought quite a few of the reporters asked decent enough questions, especially when it came to cracks and stuff. But yeah, and I completely changed my opinion of a few of the reporters as I was watching Ma'am as well, because some of the questions that they should have asking, they didn't ask, for being reporters and being interested in the case and supposedly looking for the truth. They were picking out as many decent questions as what they could have. But after hearing that call to Brendan, I was like, no, I just want to punch her in the face now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, BB, you have an opinion about Anjanette?
I think she definitely had an agenda with this call to try and get him to say something, of course, to make him look guilty.
What about how do you feel about the before and after? Like watching Ma'am, didn't really know much about her, and then what you know now.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about her, but after this, I definitely do not like her.
I agree. I think we know how Jinxie feels. All right, Sunshine.
I just feel like there were very few reporters at all who offered MAM a chance to ask the questions they wanted to ask during the proceedings. So we saw what few questions they did ask. None of the reporters have ever impressed me because none of them were interested in the truth. It's like once I'm a nosy woman, so I would have wanted to know why they were telling me Manitowoc wasn't involved, yet I'm seeing Manitowoc all over the place, and I would have stuck with that story no matter what happened, because it just smells wrong. You don't tell the public that they're not going to be involved, yet every time you show up to film your news clips, they're sitting there in your face with doing everything.
Right. I agree.
So obviously they're not telling the truth to the public, and my job is to find the truth to tell the public.
I'll add something to yours here in a minute, but Susan, anything else to add to what you said a minute ago?
No, I'm good, Jeff.
Okay. Dr. Silkman, do you have an opinion about Anjanette?
Well, yeah, just a couple of things. First of all, I think she was, from what I saw from the clips of Ma'am, she really cornered Norm Garn about Item FL and the contamination. She actually asked some really good questions, which made Norm Garn feel very uncomfortable. So it's interesting that Anjanette understood the significance of the contamination. And that's why Norm Garn had to go, oh, well, sensible people can, you have to deviate from protocol. But I think it was lost. The way she questioned Brendan, I didn't like. I honestly think she believed that Brendan was guilty and she was looking for some type of confession from him to make a sensational news report.
I agree. Yeah, I got you, moment.
What was she hoping to hear? If she knew Barb was going to her and asking her to write a story with Brendan so he could tell his side of the story, did she really, really think she was going to go there and get a confession from him?
I think she understood, Jinx, I really think that she felt like that Brendan was slow enough, mentally, that she could overpower him with, because you noticed her questions were really pretty damn pushy, in my opinion, and get him to say something that would incriminate him.
Okay, well, now here's another question then. Okay, let's say this is something that she does shortly after he's arrested and they went out on the TV and she was at that press conference and she talks about what they said at the press conference, basically on what they said in the complaint, which was, he raped and murdered this girl. So at that time, could she have really thought that he actually confessed, and maybe getting those questions and those answers from Brendan kind of turned something into her? Because those questions she's asking Norm Gahn and stuff like that were after she talked to Brendan, most likely. And Brendan recanted his story to her. I'd really like to, let's get her on here. Can we ask her to come join us?
It would be nice. Well,
some questions for us? Because I would love to ask her a couple of questions.
Well, she's at a different channel now. She's in Cincinnati. She's in Cincinnati, I think. But,
she gets Skype.
Jack's Honey, remember? Jack's Honey. I'm Mustard. She's not coming on for Mustard. She might come on for some money.
Maybe. I kind of doubt it because she's employed by another news channel. But, my opinion, my opinion is that I think she did ask some good questions. I guess my biggest problem, and I guess I'm looking at it from an investigative side, knowing because I already knew other things, so it kind of forced me down another path. And maybe if I didn't know what we know now, I would think of it differently. But I felt like that Dr. Silkman, everyone's right that with some of the answers she got from Kratz, she looked like that he just handed her a big old turd because she didn't like it at all. You could tell. You could look at the expression on her face. She's like, "What the hell are you talking about? That don't make no sense." And the questions that she asked Norm Gahn, and he comes back, "Oh, you got to have common sense to do this." Well, bullcrap. You either follow the procedure or you don't, and they didn't. So I think she did ask some good ones, but I felt like that from an investigative side when she was getting these replies back from them that she didn't dig. Maybe that she didn't feel like it was her job. Maybe she just felt like it was in that respect to just report what happened. But she seems to have a really good grasp of what was going on. I really didn't like how she treated Brendan at all. I didn't like it. I didn't like the interview, but I really more disliked the fact that they didn't use it. I thought it was. I think Dr. Silkman was right. She felt like, and Jinx, that she thought she was going to get this gotcha moment and get it there, and I just thought it was terrible. Anyway,
it was the way I saw it, Jack. It was exploitative.
Yes, very. I agree. It was. And this aspect of the case, and I guess I'll probably never let go of it until I can. And Brendan's out, and then maybe then I'd let go of it. I was actually going to play another. We're running into some. We're over 2.5 hours now. I don't want to keep people here all night. I was going to play some of the Tom Pierce call, but it's interesting with that call. It's not really a call. I mean, it is, but it's found in the dispatch records, and it's put together through. What was it, Jinx? 55 WAV files? Is that what I told you? Yeah, 55 WAV
something like
that we had to stitch together and put into the Freedom Player to create one call. It wasn't like they could have recorded it as one, but they didn't. I don't know why. It's broken up over a series of these WAV files that we had to stitch together to create the one call. It's like 19 minutes and something. It's almost 20 minutes. Not quite though. But by breaking the call up over multiple WAV files, then that creates a scenario of like, did they cut something? Is something edited out? And we have no way of knowing that because we don't have the phone records to say that call was, actually, 21 minutes long and a bunch of it's gone. I don't want to create no conspiracy. I don't want to do that. That's not what my point. My point is that they could have easily edited that call to exclude something that it may not mean anything, but it may have been interesting because, we had a little dandruff about Tom Pierce too because of his this. Maybe it was just, he's a genuine person and has a real concern for Teresa, and he cared what happened to her. Maybe that's it in totality. But then again, maybe there was some kind of romantic feeling from his end. I don't know. I just got kind of a weird vibe from it. That's me though. But I was going to play some of that. Maybe we'll do that at another point. We'll cover some of the electronic end of it. So anyway, before we close out, is there anything else that anyone wants to discuss? This has been a really fun one. I really like this, being able to just get...
I would like to mention Diane Little Missy wanted to remind us that September 12th at 6:00 Central Time, Gene and Harry and Dean and Jerry are going to have a Q&A. So
what's that going to be on?
I will put the link in the chat right now.
Who is that through? I remember seeing something on Twitter about that.
Right. Let me show you. It's through with One Hope.
Okay. Yeah.
One Hope Wine, spreading the word. You sign up for it. It's free, and you get in the Q&A. It's a virtual event.
I really thought you were going to say Tom and Jerry there for a minute.
Yeah, I was getting twisted.
You
Sorry,
stumbled
guys.
all over that. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to look for it and speak about it at the same time.
I always call them Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I did want to share. I think it's this one. It is this one. I did want to share something that is of great irritation to me about. This is about a FOIA that I submitted for, and it's really based on this report's DCI report 299, and it details. These are Jody calls that Wiegert made a copy of this CD of these calls, minus 5 calls. There's 5 calls that are not on it. All right, but you can see highlighted there in green. You can read that for yourself. It's a CD marked Jody calls visits 10/28/205 to 12/6/2005, but if you read above that, there are 5 calls that were not included. I've requested those too. That's a separate thing. So, not to be confusing, if you go down this list, and I will just very quickly here, there are a number of these calls that I have highlighted that we do not have. No one has, as far as I know. I think there's 35 of them. So I highlighted them, and then I sent the FOIA request. The reply that I got from this was that this is really hard to repeat again. The reply I got is that they can't play them because they would need a Windows 98 computer, because that's how, I guess that's how they were recorded. Somehow that Windows has some kind of control over an audio file. Allegedly an IT guy told the sheriff this, told his own sheriff. Now this is the reply that I got. I'm sorry, that's just not the way it works. Also you probably would, you could probably use a Mac operating system depending on the file type. And even then, you could probably, in this day and age, you could probably find a program, even for Mac, that you could play those audio files with. And I can't believe that Jody's files would be any different than Stephen's files. It all ran through Evercom. But anyway, I'm asking Wiegert to reconsider what he's told me, because I know that what was told to me is not true. I know it's not true. I'm not an expert, but I'm computer savvy enough to know that his reply, that's not right. So I'm still trying to get those. Other people get these various answers on these FOIAs and denials for all kinds of reasons. But what strikes me is, there are 7. By the way, there are 7 calls that Jinx reminded me the other day that no one has as well. And I'm sure that of those 7, 5 of those are part of what was talked about in Report 299 that are not on that CD. Why those calls? These are in the same time frame too, guys. Why those 5 calls would be pulled out of that CD? They're still Jody. Why would they pull those 5 calls out? I don't understand that at all. So I requested those as well. So
are they Jody to who?
Jody to Steve. These are all Jody and Steve calls.
Okay.
Jail calls.
This is what's missing of those calls. There's like there was 4 calls, I think, on the 30th. One of those calls, the last call of that night, is missing. Then there was a call on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. No, was the 5th on there? It was like that she is supposedly being burnt in his pit and everything, that these calls are being had. Like, there's an instance in the Bobby Dassey interview where they tell him that Stephen said you were the last person to see her alive, right? So where did that come from? Did that come from a call they heard from Jody? Was that something that was on that call on the 4th? Remember, almost everything from the 4th is missing.
Yeah,
so those calls must have some sort of information in them. Like maybe the 30th, we got to think what would have been happening on the 30th that he was talking to Jody about. Maybe they did know that she was going to be out there via a jail call, and that would give cops knowledge that there was going to be a girl out there for taking pictures. I know some people have the theory that the cops just handled it all on their own. The whole thing is the cops. No one else murdered her except the cops. And how would they know that? If Jody and him were talking on the 30th late at night and he said, well, I'm calling Auto Trader tomorrow, they'd have that, right? Because they're listening to his calls. We know they listened to his calls when he was in jail. They were listening to him and using him against him with Jody. So why wouldn't have they been listening? That was a great opportunity for them to tap, in a way, his phone, because those calls were always going to be recorded. So you have to ask yourself, what are in those calls? They have to be pretty important that they'd leave it out.
I got this one to pull up. It's going to pull up here in a second. Give it a minute. I actually got this to open in Paint. I don't know why that other viewer will not work with OBS, but go ahead, Alice.
A couple of things to Pete Moss. He says he's got a copy of Windows 98. He'd happily give them.
Well, you know, I talked about here on this. Go ahead.
Another one is.
You're really guitaring.
Anybody?
You're really guitaring, Alice. Your connection is not good.
I think the other question was, does anybody have an opinion on Colborn's case with Netflix?
Another Colborn is what?
Is that better? Am I better now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
He's asking, what is everyone's opinion on Colborn's case against Netflix?
Oh boy. Well,
for myself, I'm kind of hoping that it goes further, because then there'll hopefully be more information that can become available to the public, maybe some stuff that we've not been able to see or get. Hopefully we can. But I think Netflix is going to take it all the way, because I can't see them settling, because if they do it for one, then that's opening the floodgates for a whole load of other people that have been in documentaries and didn't like what was said or done or anything like that can then cause a lawsuit. So I think Netflix might take it as far as they can take it.
Y'all talk for a minute. I got to grab this phone call. Y'all go ahead.
I had to go by Zellner's opinion. It was either, what was it, on her birthday or on Christmas, or when was that? When that came out that he was going to sue him. And she was so thrilled and said she considered it her birthday present or whatever, because she can't wait to hear it. What Colborn had to say.
Well, that's right, because if they get a hearing, Colborn will have to be on the stand and answering questions if they got a hearing, right? So, and they're pushing it. They're not going to settle. So it's going to basically go to a hearing, right? So isn't that what we're waiting on, the hearing? So,
yep, and Zellner was overjoyed about this lawsuit.
I would like to hear Colborn tell his news story about the key on the stand, where he says it didn't fall out like that. It was cleverly hidden in the back. And
did that perjure him at all in any way?
Pardon?
I said, would that perjure what he said in any way?
It's total perjury, if you ask me. Yeah. He totally changed his story.
Yeah.
In that email.
And his story is documented in trial record, which is supposed to be him giving the truth, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A lot of information could come out in this case, if it goes ahead, and it could be things that Laura and Moira didn't maybe even put into Mam, but because he's brought this up, it's gonna be let out, because as you say, if he takes the stand, they're going to ask him certain questions and things like that. So it would be interesting to actually hear what was going to happen. And Kim's asking about, could the case stop Netflix from making a Mam 3? It'll probably postpone it until it's over with, and then we'll be able to see, but I don't know 100% on that.
I don't
Wasn't
think it
the
would stop
case
anything.
started before Ma'am 2 came out, and it didn't stop Ma'am 2 from coming out?
No, it was filed after making
Oh,
a
okay.
It was filed in 18.
They have an issue with that anyway because they're asking for a lot of discovery that is under legal obligation to be concealed because of people's names, this, that, whatever. So, like Pete Moss just said, they think it's going to be handled behind closed doors because of that kind of stuff. So we might never know. It's wishy-washy.
How many of you think that Colborn will be going, I plead the fifth?
I don't recall.
I plead the fifth.
That's not my verbiage.
I do not
That's not my
recall.
verbiage.
I do not recall. Yeah, that's
That's not
going to
my
be the main
verbiage.
one. I don't recall.
Yeah. Thank you guys
Yeah,
for taking
it's
care of
not-
that.
It's not my verbiage. Yeah.
Can I just?
I don't think I'd have said that. I don't
Can I
think I'd
make
have
a
said
comment?
that.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
I think and it's already been said, the depositions would have been like a trial run. Because if you have a look at the depositions and the way people suddenly had amnesia was phenomenal, right? They couldn't remember anything. And, as Dvorak said, that's not my verbiage, even though she wrote it in a report. So you can imagine that if Vogel and Kacerik were questioned, they would have done exactly the same thing, denied everything.
Yeah, I agree. Before I take this down, though, this is what I've got up on the screen now. That's the 7 calls that we also don't have, and I suspect that 5 of these calls were part of what was removed from that CD that I mentioned earlier. It's 2 separate things. So anyway, show that. Okay, folks, we're moving into we're almost 3 hours now. So, is there any other questions that we want to address before we get our goodbyes in, and maybe things that are upcoming and going on? Any more questions that we can answer? This has been really fun. I like doing this because it lets everyone participate, and
I don't see any Jacks.
Which is what I
think
want.
I think we're all caught up, Jacks.
Good. I want to say this. If there's any, we talked about, we talked with Nosy earlier. We're glad anything that we can present as much information as we can about other cases or whatever. We're glad to do it because this is our main focus, but there are other cases that deserve attention too, and they're good to talk about and get out there. We understand, we're not, going to change the world. We get that, but our voice is there, and we want it to be heard. I never thought I'd be doing anything like this, but I feel strongly enough that I want to do it. I want to do my, whatever I can in any effect that may change someone's mind or make them think. Critical thinking, I guess, is the best choice of word. Think differently. Don't just accept what this says. Even if these people are accepting things that just do not make sense, and I just don't get that at all. I can't just believe it. And that's coming from both sides too. It's not just one side. That's what I said. I want everything on the table so we can examine it, and not all this, procedurally barred bullshit. And you can't have that because it may damage the integrity of the investigation. Like, come on, what is it that you don't want us to hear? It may have nothing to do with nothing. Let's just get it out there and get it buried. Anyway, I did want to ask Alice, are you going to be doing something? Do you have your own channel? You're creating a channel for yourself and going to be presenting some stuff?
I'm trying.
What can we do to help? What can we do to help?
I was losing the knot the day, just trying to get intros, look at intros, how to do intros and how to do thumbnails and things like that. And then I was like, I was like, right, I need to stop. So I'm trying
You need Zoe and Becca. Yeah.
I've got the channel there. I've got the name of the channel. It's going to be Alice in Wrongful Conviction Land. It's not just going to be about one specific case. The info is it's fighting for Stephen, Brendan, Luke Mitchell, Daniel Holtzclaw. As I say, it's just a start, so it's nothing fancy or anything like that. But once I get things sorted, I will put a post up there and some
Please
links
do.
and
Have you got your
out.
have you got your channel created?
Yes.
Well, throw a link up there so we can get sub to it
Drop
and turn
a
the bell
link.
on. Yeah, drop a
Yeah.
link in so we can get everybody over there and sub, because you've got a great voice. And
So when you do put something up, you got an audience.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Please do. And
Alice.
what are we going to do to help?
Alice, is
Yes,
harsh language permitted on your channel?
Oh, definitely. There will be a disclaimer. There will be a disclaimer at the beginning, Doc. There shall be foul language on this channel. If you do not like it, please switch off.
Alice.
Like me, no filter.
I think you just named your new channel. I think you should change it from this Alice Rock. I think you should call it Foul Language.
Alice, before Doc and I met you, we never cussed at all.
No.
I'm kidding. I did.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I've been blamed repeatedly for Doc's cussing.
I blame BB.
Yeah.
And I came in with quiet mouth, thinking I shouldn't swear, but on my channel you can do anything. And here we get Alice who lets it all out.
well, see, you did give me permission that I could.
That's
was
right.
being all polite and sweet and nice and trying not, on my best behaviour, not to swear, to make you think I was sweet and innocent, and then you went, no, on you go, you can do it. So then it all came out, the bollocks and all.
That's great. Straight talking a lot of times is the best way. When you get mad as hell about something and it really irritates you, it's best to just say it, just let it out. That way you be done with it for this time. You're going to get mad about it again, obviously, but you get it out.
Galateki says foul play and foul language go good together.
Sister channel, yeah, true enough. That's great. Thanks for popping in there, son. Well, I know Jeff Jones. He's getting his stuff together, and he's going to be presenting some different things as well. So we're trying to support him. He was in the other day and got his channel up, and if you look on Twitter or whatever, I think you can find him and find his channel. A number of us have already subbed for him and support him and get him going. So the more voices, the merrier, I say. Let's just get it out there. Talk about it. Anything else before we head off the trail? Anyone?
Well, anything? I have an announcement.
Please.
I'm going to have a show on Tuesday at 2:00 Central, and we're going to find out what keeps darkness in the sunshine.
So,
yeah, we're going to have a really good conversation, and my special guest is Sunshine Christina. So please join us for that.
Well, I don't know. She doesn't talk much.
No, I know. I'll be doing it all, but
don't say that.
Two redheads. I don't think we'll have any problem.
Sunshine's pretty shy. She rarely ever talks. So come on.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time, Sunshine. I love you.
Yeah, that's Tuesday the 31st at 2:00 Central. So please join. We
will definitely be there. Jinxie, when's your next one with Ryan? No, now.
I have no idea.
That's two different questions. When's your next one?
Yeah.
And then when's your one with Ryan?
Yeah.
My next one might be the journal with Nosy. We might read the journal and talk a little bit about what's going on in the journals. And I thought I would probably do that before Ryan. Ryan, I'm still trying to figure out whether I should just do like this, like a question and answer with everybody, because everybody always wants my opinions on him, and then just have all of my stuff ready for when they ask, or should I just do a presentation? There's so much with him. So
I've got an idea.
What's your idea?
Do your presentation and then do a Q&A.
There you go.
That way you get out there what you want to say, and then if people have.
Should I do it like you kind of do, where you read something, like you put one little piece of evidence together and then talk about it and get the questions and answers, then move on to the next part of Ryan?
Well, it kind of depends on how.
Categories of things that I want to go through with him.
It kind of depends on how much time you want. You can ask Silkman about this.
Yeah, how much material you have.
We used to do it when we did it one slide at a time and talked about it. Sometimes we wouldn't get past one slide or two slides. So that's why we started putting.
It would be Ryan part 1, Ryan part 2, Ryan part 3.
You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
That's why. That's why we started doing all the slides and then talk about them.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. So
I'll figure it out eventually, and we'll have a Ryan chat soon enough.
Awesome.
My next one will probably be the journal. I also want to touch base on all the jurors and how they're all connected to Manitowoc and where they're not, that kind of thing too. So
look for a full schedule of Jinxie.
What's that?
Said look for a full schedule from Jinxie. Woo woo.
Look at that. I got 3 things. Which would you like to see first? Please put it in my comments below. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they're all going to say Ryan.
They're all going to say Ryan, so I already know.
Alice put her channel in the chat, so everybody please join and sub to her channel.
Thank you, Alice.
Well, I think it's my channel, so I'm still working things out, guys, so please forgive me. There's really nothing on there or anything like that, but
that's okay.
I just put it in there just in case for when it does actually happen. So thanks, everyone.
You bet.
I'm number 4.
I subscribe to you. I clicked my little bell here for all. And now what I'm going to tell you guys who want another video is, if you want to see something from me, you can go and subscribe to my channel. And then when I do go on, whenever that might be,
we'll drop it in.
Drop
it in.
I'm number 4.
I was fixing to say, Jinx or one of the other mods can drop your channel in, and for those that aren't subbed, they can head over and sub for you. So anyway, this has been a really good chat. I really liked the open conversation, and we had a lot of good questions. And obviously, it's for many of us that there are things that we knew but other people didn't, and it gives a different spin and a different way of really approaching some of the stuff. So I think it's a good approach, and it allows us to kind of review. And that was another part of thinking about this when you said that last night, Linda. I was thinking to myself, we've come so far. We've done a number of these. This is number 33. Of course, a couple of them were, motions and briefs and stuff. And but looking at where we're at as far as information wise, and this is what all of us are starving for, new information, and that's the goal behind these FOIAs. I could literally probably have we could do probably 5 open mics on the 1,000+ pages of the FOIAs and returns that I got, but I don't think anybody really wants to do that. It means maybe a little bit interesting. Some of the replies, they're creative at best, but we want real actual information that we haven't seen before, and it's becoming more and more difficult to get. There are aspects of the DCI reports that I really want to present. There are aspects of there's actually good chunks of the depositions that I want to present. Now, we have to be careful of depositions because not all of them are public. However, there are a number of them, because of the Netflix lawsuit that Colborn took, that are public. We are allowed to show them, and without copyright restriction. So maybe we'll do that one day too, if there's interest. Because the depositions are really interesting for those that haven't read. And it's part of it goes within part of the story of all of it. And that's what interests me as well. The entire story, not just chunks here and chunks there. They're great, but the whole story. You couldn't write this. I mean, there's just no way. So anyway, Anything else before we take off? All right, very good. I'd like to thank everyone that came with us here on Discord. If you like what you hear, like and subscribe. Drop us a note. Join us on our Discord channel. I know the links have been put up multiple times. We'd love to hear from you. Come in and chat about the case or, other cases. That'd be great. Thanks for coming. This has been a Foul Play production.